Hey, what's up, guys? Savage Recovery here. Just wanted to jump back in, have a little discussion with some people. If anyone ends up joining in, um, I'm not exactly sure what my plans are going to be for the day. I was hoping on going out and doing some photography. It seems that that might not be happening. I know tomorrow I need to pick up my son, hang out with my son for a while. Um, I got my Patreon linked and I got my Instagram linked. I'm gonna be doing more photography stuff and more back behind the scenes stuff on the Patreon, and my all my photography is up on Instagram. So if you guys want to see my photography and watch it as it develops, um, you guys can go and see that in the Instagram. You guys can email me at savageredrecovery@gmail.com if you guys have anything that you guys want to come on and talk about, or if you guys have anything you want to send me, or if you want to conversate with me, I'll respond back to you. If you go to the Patreon, you got any person that's part of the Patreon is able to get my personal information, like my phone number or whatnot, so we can conversate directly. Um, like I'm hoping that these lockdowns end soon, so America can get back to normal stuff like everyone else. If I end up finding the time, I'm gonna start doing more art, more painting, more drawing, stuff like that. I love doing that stuff. I'm pretty artistic of a guy. Not not that I really have anything out there that anyone can go see, but you know how it is. You know, life happens. One of the things I wanted to talk about was like having to take personal accountability. A lot of this channel is about people learning from my mistakes so that they don't repeat them themselves. Like having children out of wedlock and crime and drug addiction are all things that you can avoid and make your life better by not participating in. Um, I did a lot of damage to my life by doing those things, and mainly people that are struggling on how to better their lives. Pretty much, they can go into my content or they and see like things to do differently in order to not do that. Like I went from being homeless and a drug addict and uh wanted wanted by the law to a normal citizen that is, you know, producing something and working a normal job and not just, a burden to to society. And within 5 years, I've went from being down and out to being middle class. So like if I can do it, like face tats, felonies, and employed, then anyone else can do it themselves. Like growth always comes with pain and sacrifice. Salute. What's going on? Like I was just looking at stuff on my computer, looking at some articles and stuff, and like there's really nothing that's going on. There's really no male situations that I really want to cover that is even worth me bringing up and reading or anything like that. Nothing impressive is going on, I don't think. Hey, what's up, bud?
What's going on, man? Thanks for
Uh,
joining the stream earlier.
oh, it's no problem. I was live earlier when you started it, so I didn't get in until after.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think I couldn't. I don't know. I was trying to think. I don't know. Did I start a little bit before you or after you? I didn't know.
I I started at like 1 o'clock, 1:10,
Oh
something like that.
wow. I guess I didn't get to. I was away from the house for a minute, so I didn't get the the alert. I think I left my phone here, so I didn't even realize it. Sorry about that, man.
No, it's cool. I get it. You were just being selfish. I understand. I get it.
No, man, no.
No, it's all good, man. So the one thing that I was bringing up to, I was talking about in your stream that I kind of also went live to say to Lawrence was that the Star of David is actually, it comes from the seal, Solomon seal, and there's nothing good about the Star of David actually. And we were going back and forth in your chat. What's your take on it?
To be honest, I'd have to do some actual studying really on it. I've heard positive and negative things about it. It's not something that I've really studied to actually be able to, give a concrete opinion on it. It's something I have to study. I don't.
Well, myself personally, I actually have read the Bible a good amount. I'm actually pretty. I'm not religious, but I'm very
spiritual.
Like, I wouldn't say spiritual. I'm really. I'm a follower of Christ. Like, I believe in God. I'm a God-fearing man. But when it comes to like hidden agendas and like the practicing of religion and the Satanism that's in our society and that's in cultures, I'm actually well versed in that stuff, and I don't really talk about it on like a lot of the times that the topics we talk about MTR, like there's parts of it that actually are particular to what we're talking about, but I just don't go into it because a lot of people aren't on that level,
right?
But from what I've gathered, Christ was actually born in like September, like the September.
Okay.
The September timeframe.
Okay. See, I was thinking it was maybe around March. I have to look some more. Man, it's hard to. I'm gonna be honest. The Bible is so vast and expansive. It's hard to keep a hold of everything without having to look back. Well, it's impossible. There's some things that stick with you more than others, and there's things about it that I have to reread and go over. So that's why with this one, I'm kind of trying to plan on going from a book to book aspect, whether it be, by every 2 weeks or weekly, once a week, to where I advance and kind of retain more of each aspect and each story, to where I keep more and I can see, maybe I'll be able to see something differently in a way that I didn't see it before whenever I come to the scripture now. That's one thing that I want to try and do, and I wanted to have my channel open for people who might have other aspects that it may be able to see something in a way that I couldn't see it, or maybe I can see it in a way that they couldn't see it, and it broadens both of our aspects on the subject.
Yeah, so I wholeheartely believe that the Star of David is actually satanic in principle, and that the house of Satan has actually corrupted a lot of the Jews religion actually.
It's something that you could say that's could very much well be possible. I mean, when you read, you see where it talks about, like Satan comes to the church. He goes to everywhere where God calls him, and he calls him to the church as well. Like I said, I can't speak in any specifics on that because I haven't done enough study into that to be able to get an idea, a concrete idea on it myself.
Well, there he is. There he is.
How you doing, bro, Lawrence?
First of all, I don't know what the hell this is about. Calling up at other people's chats, harassing they listeners and subscribers. I was just minding my damn business. I wasn't doing that. I was enjoying a hot dog. I was enjoying some scripture. Then all of a sudden, Cal come and start harassing me about signs and seals and symbols. And I just want to say real quick, what's up, Pence? I see you in the chat. So what's good?
So
man, nothing.
every time that I see your star, David, in your room, I really want to say it too, but I just
You
don't.
can see that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can.
You can see
Yeah, I
that
seen
star
it last
David on your wall.
night.
It was there
Oh,
last
okay.
night.
Yeah, it was there last
Yeah.
night. You can't see it in the whenever he's got it 3-way, but when you got the broader, the 4-window pane deal, you can see it then because it spreads out across the top.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. You saw it last night.
All right. Oh well. But so what's the question, Kyle? You said you wanted to ask me something, or pressure test me or something like that.
Yeah, so you believe that the star of David is a good thing, and it comes.
No, I don't.
It comes. No, but
No.
that's what I'm asking. Do you believe that it's a good thing, and do you believe that it comes from God? Because Solomon got the seal when he was doing a bunch of paganism, and on his fall down is the reason that he was able to get. His fall down is when he got that seal with it, and he started worshiping other gods with his wife and being able to control demons.
Well, okay. There's a couple of things. You're mostly right, but there are a few nuances. Now, just before I start talking, you got to understand this is coming from a perspective of Judaism, which is what I grew up with my mother. I'm moving slowly out of that into being an Israelite. So I just want to preface that real quick. And I'm noticing that between my choice and what I was raised with, there are some serious, significant differences. So with that being said, as far as the Star of David's concerned, I do not look at the Star of David as something that should be worshipped. As far as it goes for whether it's satanic or not, I do believe it is. I don't think that was the original concept for it, but I do believe that's what it is now. The Star of David was designed and based on a Kabbalistic form of ritual and prayer. That was the purpose of it. That's why it was designed that way, and that's why it looks specifically that way. Also, as I was saying in the chat earlier, a lot of people seem to think the Star of David has something to do with David. David never saw that star. David doesn't even know what that star is. That star didn't come into play until around the 16th, 17th century. So that's that right there. As far as it goes for it to be satanic, I don't think it was originally meant to be that way, but I do see it that way now. What you see on my wall has nothing to do with worship. It's just, again, being raised that way. I'm just accustomed to having that with me in some representation, no more, no less. I don't pray to it. I don't worship it. I don't think anything of it other than it's just something to see out of visual comfort from childhood memory. As far as the seal is concerned with Solomon, if I remember correctly, seals and sigils was something that was given to man by one of the Grigori. I can't remember which Grigori it was, off the top of my head. Solomon was allowed to some degree to do seals and sigils, and that's how he made that seal. After he made that seal, he used it because there are stories in the Torah that speak specifically to him using it on at least 3 specific demons that I can remember off the top of my head, where he bound them to him and he commanded them and controlled them. As far as it goes for the thing with his wife, yes, that was his downfall. He started taking the advice of all his wives and adding their little bits and pieces into stuff like that, and started worshiping their gods and all that good stuff. And that was his downfall from that. But if I remember correctly, the seal was something separate from that. It might have worked in addition or followed one behind the other, but it was 2 separate things.
Okay, so do you know what the symbols the Star of David are made out of?
It's a hexagram.
Yes, but okay, so one triangle, the triangle that points up is a representation of male. The triangle that points up is a representation of the female symbol. The triangle that points down is the male. Okay. So if you look at Satanism, there's a lot of Satanism has like Baphomet, which is the forming of the male and the female into one being. So that star represents that fusion of the male and the female together. Okay. Also, if you look at the the symbols of earth, wind, fire, and and water. Those elements are all represented in the Star of David. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's alchemy, which the Bible specifically talks about not doing.
That's correct.
Right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Also, the what's the mathematic of shapes?
Geometry.
Oh,
Geometry.
Yeah.
Geometry. The hexagram breaks down to 666.
No, and I understand that. I'm just trying to figure out what you're trying to get me to.
So what I'm saying is that in no way was that symbol ever, like, everything in the Bible talks about how not to do anything associated with that symbol. And in the Bible, it also talks about the false Jews.
Okay. I get what you're. I think I get where you're going now. As far as it goes for the Bible can't speak about this symbol when this symbol didn't exist during that time. So I can tell you right now that's not in there. Period. Now the Seal of Solomon. If I go through the Torah and the New Testament, I don't recall anything in there saying the use or non-use of the Seal of Solomon. And if I'm incorrect, please correct me, but I haven't seen anything in there. I do recall that you shall not worship false idols and other gods. This is not an idol, nor is it a god. It's simply a representation of a particular people, no more or less. Yeah, go ahead.
I think if you worship the symbol itself, you make it into an idol.
Exactly, and I don't do that.
I'm not saying you're doing it. I'm just saying in general for someone listening.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, and I'm not trying to take away from you, Kyle. I get what you're saying, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that it's a representation of a people. It's no different than me doing my entire house in a pattern of Native American or an entire pattern of African style or things like that. They're just there because I like them. They bring them comfort. I don't pray to them. I don't worship them. I don't put them above the Most High. I don't put them anything like that. It's just an object to me. I don't use them in tools. I don't use them in meditation. I don't even use them when the holidays come, to be honest with you. They're just something that as a child I remember having.
I got you.
That brings me peace.
So basically it's kind of a nostalgic decoration for your home for you in a way.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I mean, the only thing that represents to me is that when people see it, they know I'm Hebrew. That's all it means to me. There's nothing more, nothing less to it. My menorah doesn't have it. My Til Shabbat doesn't have it. I'm not into that. And believe me when I tell you, my mother is not happy about it because she is what Kyle's talking about. To her, that means that. To her, that's
everything.
Yeah, it's everything. You know, it's a sign. It's a sign of her people. It's a sign of their oppression. It's a sign of worship, etc., and so on. And see, and that's one of the things that she and I have contention about because I will not accept it that way. I will not, because I know it for what it is. At the end of the day, the Most High said, no idolatry and all that, and symbols and worship and that and the whole 9 yards. And it's not just the Star of David. I don't accept that as that. I don't accept the cross as that. I don't accept the crescent moon and the thing with the moon. I don't recognize it. I don't recognize any of that way. Exactly. They're just things for me to look at. Outside of that, I don't put any weight to them.
Right.
Now other people do, but I don't.
Yeah. So here's the other thing though. Okay, so I'm Native American. Native Americans have stop. Just stop. Give me the rope. Give me the rope and we're cool, all right? So Native Americans, they have dream catchers.
I have that as well.
Yeah. So a dream catcher also goes back to the same premise of witchcraft, and it's the same thing. Even if you don't use it as that symbol, those symbols have certain things that are attracted to them. All right. So another thing of it, when it comes down to like at the end of the day, when like there is the Torah, and then there's also the Talmud, and the Talmud is oral tradition of witchcraft or sorcery that was taught to the Jewish people. And
I don't. Okay, I don't follow the Talmud.
I'm not
I
saying
don't-
you do.
Oh,
I'm not implying that you do, but this is what I'm saying. So the things the Bible talk about,
Mhm.
idolatry, all that stuff, Solomon did. All right.
yeah.
Solomon
Eventually, yeah.
Solomon had the seal. All right.
Mhm.
That star comes from that seal. All right.
I know
So,
that.
regardless of what it is intended to be, if I take a pentagram and I make it into be something other than have some other meaning to it, it's still a pentagram. Regardless of what we accept it to be, that symbol has a metaphysical, spiritual presence. It has its own reality to itself, regardless of what we use it for, is my point. So even with people being like, oh, well, that's not what it is what it is regardless. Because it came from that, it will always be that on a medical physical reality. In a spiritual realm, it would be the same thing.
Yeah, but if you, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ed. I'm sorry.
So, one, that's one thing. Two, that symbol also, it like the Bible is the only thing that talks about the past, the present, and the future. It is the only book that transcends time. It speaks in a time of the present, time of the past, and the time of the present. So even if you can say it wasn't in the Bible, all right, it talks about the end times, and it talks about the Antichrist, and it gives references to the future about stuff that they wouldn't have been able to see then. So I do believe that Star of David is being referenced when they're referencing the Star of David, or they're referencing the seal, because it comes from that. I do think that there is some predictiveness to the Bible in that aspect, and I do feel that like a lot of I do believe that the Jews of today are not necessarily the actual Jews.
They're not. I could have told you that. The actual Jews are, well, three of them are sitting here having a conversation.
Well, I don't necessarily know if I would be that part of that bloodline, but
If you're not necessarily a part of the bloodline for Shem, but you are related to us through his brother Japheth. That's why in my mind, the way I define who's chosen. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to go off tangent because I know you were making a point. Matter of fact, let me get to that point first. Everything you said about the seal and all that good stuff. Yes, I agree, but there's a certain onus to it, and if I'm incorrect, and you and Oaken, if you and Oaken think I'm incorrect, then I will tear that sucker down point blank. But here's how I see it. At the end of the day, if I go completely with everything you said, that removes me from the reality of having free will. Regardless of whatever you do with a symbol or a sigil or anything else along those lines, it all comes down to intent. Now, just because I have a variety of weapons in my house doesn't make me a murderer.
Right.
Yeah, you understand? Having the Star of David, like I said, is just a simple symbol of memory and childhood. I think it comes down to the individual with intent. Yeah, I really don't know how else to say it past that. I like I said, it's if you had caught me praying to it or worshiping to it, then you'd have me by the balls. But I don't.
listen, If you want to have dead bodies in your house, that's up to you. I don't care what you do at your house. I am just saying, I'm just telling you what I know, and I'm gonna let you do with it what you will. But in the Bible, it also says that if you condone that it is our job to cast judgment, and if we condone worldly things, we are ourselves guilty of the same thing.
Yeah, I get that. That's pretty much, if you see your brother doing something wrong, it's our responsibility to speak on it. What he does with it after that is on him.
Yeah. So okay. So here's another.
Then I will give you the best answer that I have right now. The very best answer I have right now, and it's the only one I can give you. And I mean this sincerely. I will sit down and I will pray on it.
Go ahead.
I will. No, and I mean that sincerely. I'm not just saying it to say it, because you've posed some questions that I have to reevaluate. And like I said, I was already partly there anyway, as I said, with the conversations my mother and I have back and forth on who's Jews, who's not, so on and so forth. Because like I said, with her, you know, she like I said, she uses it for everything, literally everything. It's the most important thing. But yeah, I'll have to pray on that and ask for some guidance.
Well, so here's the other thing. So this is probably going to be a hot button subject for you, because your mom's Jewish and you grew up in a Jewish household. But what we were told about World War II is not in any way what really was going on. In the sense,
why would that bother me?
Because a lot of people that are tied to the Jewish faith, anytime that you question any sort of narrative of World War II, they feel some kind of way. So I'm just saying, I was giving you a trigger warning. But
I don't need that.
So this right here is the reason that I feel that what we were being told, and I'm not denying Holocaust or any of that. That's not what I'm doing. But what I'm saying is, where the symbol of the swastika comes from, right?
Mm-hmm. I do.
I think I've seen it. Oh gosh, in several other ancient cultures. I know. I can't remember. It was Indian or
it shows up in Hindi, in Hindu.
Yeah, and I think it was. I think they reversed. Reversed it. The Nazis.
Yeah.
Reversed it, I think, but
so
basically a flip on that one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So regardless if they flipped it or not, it's the same symbol. So
right.
Again, in the world, there's only two religions in the world. There's only two. You have the truth. So you have God's religion, and you have the serpent's religion, or the Canaanite religion. Those are
that's your first. That's your first mistake, because God did not bring religion.
I understand that, but when I say religion, I mean the worship of God or the worship of not God. There's only those.
I see what you're saying. You're talking about aspects.
Yes, there's only
God, and then what opposes him. That's what you're saying. I get you.
Correct.
Oh, okay. I understand.
I don't mean in the aspect of in going to a church. I mean either you're worshiping for God or against God. There's only two.
Right.
And
okay.
All religions on earth stem from God and from Babylon. All right. So the Hindus, their religion is the closest to Babylon as of today.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So the swastika is in the Hindu religion. You can go and see it all over stuff. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that comes from the worship of Saturn. Okay. The hexagram. The hexagram also is it goes back to a worship of Saturn. But the point that I'm making is during World War II, you had the swastika, which was the practice or the worship of Saturn, against the Star of David, which is also they were making the Jews wear the Star of David. So again, that's not in my view, it's not a holy symbol. It's two satanic symbols in my mind. Okay. And the reason I can see that.
I can see that.
The reason that I think that that narrative was pushed, that they wanted to get the Jews out, because I really don't think that the way that they tell us about World War II is actually correct. I think it was done to get the nation state of Israel. I think that was the end goal, and they knew that, and they did the war, and they did what they did to make sure that Israel was made.
Guys, yes, I would. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Okay, guys, come on, go, come on.
What are you thinking, Oaken?
It's interesting. I didn't know where he was actually going to be going with it. That's pretty interesting.
But he's right though.
I don't disagree.
If you go through all the details, you'll find that there's a lot of information that actually leads to what Kyle's saying being actual fact. And that's another bone of contention between myself and my family, because I do that research, I do that study. We've had those arguments where where I've explained that, in all fairness, you guys are the ones in Revelations that are being told are not the real Jews, and you don't want to accept it. I also, you know what I mean? So I everything Kyle's doing, I've done in my family. I get where he's going with it. I do.
So also, with that being said, that when Trump became president, he released the JFK files, and the JFK files in it had a picture of Adolf Hitler in the 50s or the 60s in South America. He was actually fighting against communism in South America. So with that being said, if the Nazis were really so bad, then why did Hitler get to live and go to South America? Why did we then, right after World War II, make Israel and then bring all the Nazi scientists to America?
Well, I don't know. I don't know about the thing with Hitler being alive in the 50s. I don't know anything about that. I know, as far as it goes, for all the other Nazis that were brought to America, they were brought because of their knowledge and skills that they acquired during the war and used here. Prime example, as soon as they brought Nazis here, you started to notice that America started dumping fluoride into waters, drinking waters, lakes, and etc. and so on, because that was a tactic Hitler used, because a buildup of fluoride in your brain makes you susceptible to
makes you docile.
Yeah, it makes you docile and susceptible to commands and etc. and so on. And then also, if you notice, after the fluoride, and the funny thing is that what they fail to tell you is that it's not fluoride, not in the classic sense, because fluoride is a natural occurring thing. You'll find it in rocks and all that good stuff. They're using a fluoride byproduct from waste manufacturing. That's what they're dumping. And a lot of people don't know that. But in addition to the fluoride, there was also the issue, suddenly out of nowhere, we got plastics and a whole bunch of other chemical processes. That's why they brought those Nazi scientists and all them here. They used that. They took that knowledge from them and had them apply it to us. They just weren't being as extreme with it as they were. That's why I think a lot of things nowadays, with people acting the way they are, you got to take in consideration. It's a buildup of fake fluoride in your system. You got all the mercury from whenever you get your shots and vaccinations and all that other stuff. That's why people are batshit crazy in my mind.
I knew also too that they grabbed whatever they could from what was left of the remnants of the Third Reich, or whatever they call it. Also because they were in competition with Russia. Well, they weren't. They were Soviet at that time, I believe. Soviet Union, that's what they were called, and they were in competition with them for nuclear power, as well as just the whole race to the moon. They were trying to rocket power, creating weapons and different aspects of ships, or whatever you want to say, different transportation means of transportation that had the power to travel those long distances like that. Where the and across the globe as well. So because between with Germany and the Third Reich, they were the most advanced when it came to technology than anybody else that they were fighting against. The only thing that happened is America got lucky
making that nuclear bomb first.
Right.
They just got lucky getting there first because Germany was already working on it. The problem is that America stole its best scientists. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is that during the wrap up of World War II, Russia was so busy paying attention to land grab. America decided, okay, let them get the land. We'll take the scientists and the technology. Then when Russia started to realize what they were doing, they tried to grab some themselves. You know, but the vast majority of them all asked for the same thing. If you look at the Nuremberg trials and you look at the documents, all of them begged to be taken in by America instead of Russia because they knew it was not going to be good. I mean, there's documentation on that. The Nuremberg trials. You look at the videos, you read the documents from it. Oh yeah, they were begging if they got found guilty to go to America. They did not want to go to Russia. So, you know, and for those who looked like they were going to Russia, most of them killed themselves in a cell.
You might go mute, Kyle.
Yeah, not only 19 Nazis were tried and convicted. Only 19.
That's correct.
And
that is
also,
correct.
The fact of it is explain to me why we didn't drop nukes on Germany.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they'll tell you the story they'll tell you the story that our real enemy was Japan because they attacked us. But the truth of the matter is they had deals with Germany. That's all it was.
They didn't. Well, the knowledge that those scientists and all those people had, and the materials and resources was too valuable.
Yeah.
That's what it is. The value was there.
Yeah.
I don't think honestly, if you go and look at, there was actually a Steven Spielberg documentary on the Holocaust where he talked about he did footage. He interviewed people that were at these camps and at these places, and a lot of them said like they brought in pianos and they brought in stuff and we did plays. Like there is a lot of information out there that like the narrative that we're told isn't true. Like it isn't so much that. So my thing of it is I think it was orchestrated so that they could make Israel get a nation state. And also I do believe that like I'm not sure how far back when the fake Jews took over the Jews or what, like I'm not sure when that timeline was. But if you go back and look at like history in like the 1500s, the 1600s, the 1700s, the perception of Jews in other countries, it's not good. Like there's a lot of depictions of Jews doing a lot of satanic and dirty things and them getting kicked out of the country.
That's because they're upset. If you look at the Torah and you look at the New Testament, there are descriptions in there of what the chosen people look like, and they all look like us. The people who claim to be Jews nowadays are actually descended from the Ashkenazi, which came from the northern areas of Russia and moved down slowly into a variety of areas.
I totally agree.
And they took our identity and expanded on it from that. Now they are the ones who brought in my opinion, the vast majority of the satanic stuff that you're talking about, because they are misinterpreting the Kabbalah. Because if you notice, the vast majority of them might talk about the Torah and the Talmud, but the Torah is the inspired word of God. The Talmud is where the rabbis got together and decided to do their interpretation of what those rules are, which mean nothing to me because they're not Moses. And then the Kabbalah is a mystical thing in which you use mysteries to control, practice magic, etc., and so on.
Well, so like not even that, but if you look at like this Solomon's Temple, that's laid out like the Freemasons lay out all their lodges. To like everything that we deal with in society is based off of these principles. That's why you have single mothers being pushed in society, because it's the mother goddess. It all goes back to Babylon. Like that's what we're dealing with is Babylon's religion.
Yeah. Because I've argued with my mother, especially when we talk about family lineage, because you have to know the oral history of the family lineage, where you fall into it, be able to recite it, etc., and so on. And I've always had an issue with that, because if you look at Jewish custom, They claim that you can only be a Jew if your mother was a Jew, but that doesn't make sense because the very book you're teaching me, the Torah, states otherwise. I
Yeah,
mean,
do you know why they?
there's literally a section in Deuteronomy in which the Most High told Moses to gather the families and go by the father, not the mother. So
Well, do you know why?
Yeah,
Do you know why the mother? Do you know why they picked the mother?
I know it, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Well, it goes back to the mother goddess, and also it goes back to the
Well,
principle
yeah,
that
I
they know
that.
women. They know that women lie.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I'll hold on. I'll drink to that.
You know, the funny thing when especially when you hear women talk about the dark mother, the mother goddess, and things that they do, yeah, I mean the whole when they're taking pictures on Instagram and Twitter and all this different stuff, the sticking out of the tongue and all that, all the Akali and all that. It's like, wow. I mean, you got women that separate and claim to be up in church, in a Christian church, and y'all sitting up here, you worshiping false idols, doing things just like them, in imitation of them.
You see, and it's funny because right now with the divorce I'm going through, that's one of the main contentions I have with my current wife. Because she decided to follow some African deity reality or something like that, where she's making offerings of fruit and liquor and all this stuff to these different oguns and all this other good stuff. And I'm like, I can't have that. I can't have that. I can't be part of that. I know it full well, and if that's the route she wants to take, then more power to her. But there's this thing where women, and this is me personally. I'm pretty sure other people will agree, but this is me personally. Women will find anything to use as an excuse, other than accepting their own accountability and responsibility.
Oh yeah.
So in my mind, you pick all these different belief systems and ideologies and et cetera and so on that build you up as a woman, because you think when you do something wrong, you can always fall back on it being their fault. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but
I got you. I think also that, and the simple fact that, I mean,
and it's a power grab. It's a power grab. Because at the end of the day, why have to worship to a male deity when they can go make their own female deities, and then it goes right back to feminism. It's all about power and supremacy. It doesn't work that way.
And I think also not only that, they are just so susceptible and more inclined to, and I'll eventually get into it more on my channel, but doing what Jesus said you cannot do, which is worship two masters. You cannot serve two masters. I mean, they're always, you hear people say that they want their cake and they eat it too. No, women don't just want their cake and eat it too. They want every flavor of cake they can get. They want every flavor of ice cream they can get, and they eat all of it, not get a freaking brain freeze and not gain weight from it without having to work out. I mean, it's much more. It's much more to it than that.
I agree.
They want it all without any consequences and responsibilities, which you just can't have. It just there's no existence of that.
Yeah. And in my mind, and this goes back to what Kyle was saying a little bit ago with Solomon and all those wives. You got women who make up all these things because it's their attempt of trying to show some. You know what the biggest problem is with women and the reason they act the way they are, and this is just a theory I've got. What we have right now is women act the way they do, and they try to do the things they do because of two things: guilt and shame. Because deep down inside,
what was the second one? I didn't catch your part.
Guilt and shame.
Okay.
Because deep down inside, they might not admit it out loud, but they know deep down inside that all of this is because of them. from simply wanting to go bite a piece of from going to simply bite one piece of fruit, and instead of accepting the burden and the responsibility of what they've done, they're doing everything they possibly can to assuage that guilt and to push away that shame by trying to put it off on others. I think I think at the end of the day, I think deep down inside, every single woman knows deep in the root of themselves that's the case.
I think it's for me,
Hey,
I
David.
think it's primarily this. They wanted, whenever Eve ate of the fruit, and see, that's my thing. My take on it is that that bloodline with Adam and Eve, it's different. They were the only ones that were different in the fact that they had no knowledge of good and evil. I think that there were other humans, and they were just corrupt because they had knowledge of good and evil. Lilith was apparently his first wife, and she got passed out.
That comes from the Kabbalah.
Yeah,
It comes from Kabbalah.
It comes from the Kabbalah, and there's 3 of them.
Okay.
The way the story goes, you have Eve. Lilith was thrown out because she tried to dominate him, always wanted to be on top. And then there was another one who was never named. Adam was disgusted by her because he actually saw her being created, and what he saw turned him off. And then she left the garden. Those are the 3. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that. My whole thing is that Eve wanting to eat of the fruit, which was after the serpent told her her eyes would be open and she would be like God. It was and we all know that when you're dealing with women, there is no such thing as them seeing you as equal to them. They either see you as less than them or greater. And if you're equal to them, they see themselves as being above you. So she wanted to eat of the fruit because she wanted to become greater than God and control everything.
Absolutely.
But God gave her, but after she done that, and God gave her the ultimate pip slap of only being able to be content by being submissive and obedient to a man, being obedient to a man that rules over her, is the only way she could receive content. That since they can't take it out on him, the only way she could take it out is to take it out on a man. That's the only thing.
And the funny part about that is and there's a reason for that too, because no matter what she does, she will always have the knowledge that she was not made in his image. We were. They were made in our image. They came from our rib. You understand what I'm saying? And that annoys the crap out of her, because no matter how you look at it, she will always be the bottom of the row.
Well, the thing is this right here. When they know that they were created to serve. I mean, it says in there. He created a helpmeet for the man. She is the helper. And that means that she's not equal to him. No, there's no way, form, or fashion that the owner, the runner, supervisor, whatever has help that is equal to them in a position of authority. It's not going to happen. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, you're right.
It doesn't work.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
And because of that simple fact, that right there is the war. That's the gender war, because of that simple fact right there.
Yeah. I'm sorry, David. What's up, man?
Yeah. Hey, David.
Nothing much. I fell asleep yesterday on MTR's live stream. Woke up.
It's all good. So what's up? You want to say something?
Nah, he just shot the link down in the chat, so I figured he had some questions for me. I know last time we were kind of going back and forth about some things.
Yeah, I don't even remember what we were going back and forth about.
I'm not quite sure to do myself.
I've done a lot of drugs and got hit in the head a lot, so.
Really? At least you know your own. At least you know what the problems are.
Yeah, you like can't fix it if you don't acknowledge it. It's all
right.
good.
So here's my dogs. because they keep wanting to be a part of the.
Oh, okay. I've been seeing the black one with the white stripe down the nose. I've been seeing that one. I hadn't seen the other one. They're nice looking dogs.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
are.
they good.
Yeah, yeah.
My male's jealous.
Of what? Oh, the
Ah.
attention.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's the alpha then. Must be yeah, he's the alpha.
No, she's the alpha.
She's alpha, really?
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Just look at that. That look. She just humps the crap out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she not even. We not even important. They don't pay no attention. She put the camera. She started paying attention to something else.
Yeah, these are my pups. That's who you always hear growling in the background or talking.
Yeah, I figured this. Yeah, I figured that's what it was.
Yeah, they don't bother me with growling, man. I love dogs. I'm good.
Oh yeah.
but going back to what we were saying, yeah, it's that's just my assessment of it. I think at the end of the day, the same way we know deep down inside, they know deep down inside that between the shame and the guilt, that everything we have and everything we're going through, they started it. You know, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying men haven't played their part in it, but what I'm saying is that it all started with them. And deep down inside, that's a generational memory that will always be carried.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
But not use generational. It's a genetic.
Well, that's what I meant.
It's a genetic
thank you.
memory.
No, thank you. That's what I meant. Genetic. Yeah, thank you. Yes, genetic memory, and they can't get away from it because as soon as they reach of age and they start bleeding, they're reminded. It's just that simple. I mean, you can't escape. And the same thing for us. We don't work, we don't eat. That was what was put on us. Like I said it because I had said it in your chat when I was talking to Mace. There was a thought that ran through my head, how it's interesting that you made a comment about women being made from living tissue. And then I thought to myself, that makes perfect sense. And it explains the curses as well, because we were made from the dust of the earth, which is why our curse is that we always have to work the earth if we're going to survive. They were made from us, the living tissue. That is why their curse is to bear the burden and pain of creating new living tissue.
Well, not only that, the other thing is when you look at it, they were made from living tissue. They were made from the man so they could better emotionally understand his needs. But instead, they use it to manipulate him into getting what they can.
Well, that's the main reason why we have so much problem with this male versus female war, because it comes back down to the Bible, and when because Christianity is being pushed so hard against in society, that the idea of being submissive to your man is like the focal point of feminism, is that you're being controlled, that you're being held back, that you're being held down. So like feminism is just new age, like alchemy. It's new age.
I get what you're saying. New age Satanism, pretty much.
And that's what it is. It's an offshoot of Satanism. It actually is.
It's the same.
I like to look at it
with a different name.
I like to look at it like there's two factors, right? One in biology, in that our genes for so long acted in a certain way to keep us alive. Women had their role, men had their role. And then with today's society, those roles no longer needed to be there. That's where the conflict is. And then on the other hand, I would say that in part, it's equally our fault as it is their fault, because as that change happened, we were unaware of how it would affect men and women mentally, and how they would see themselves and how we would see ourselves and see each other. And we didn't make a change while we were still in position to make a change. What we did was we relinquished,
we gave
power and responsibility. And there's just an unbalance. Like the world we live in now is new in relation to men and women. It's new, then it's new. Nothing before has been like how it is now.
Right.
There was once
So-
before in Roman. I hear in like a Roman society, and that society fell. And there was
Yes,
once before
yes.
that in
Sodom
like
and
an
Gomorrah.
African society, and that
Mhm.
society fell as well. Anytime the three times where it was like it is now in history, those societies fell.
That's because a feminist society does not have the strength to be able to withstand or take over a patriarchy. It's not going to happen. Not by force. They can't do.
It's-
I mean, they can trick their way into victory because women have no power. The only power they have is manipulating you into giving it to them,
Right.
which is why I don't agree. I don't think women should have as much of the voting rights as they should. I think at the combined voting of women that they should take up no more than 20% of the voting block because
that's
of the
more than-
simple fact. Huh?
That's more than that's more than I'm
I
willing
said,
to give. They
I
shouldn't have it at all.
say it should be no more than that. And my whole thought is the simple fact that women do not produce or do anything contribute to society to be able to have that privilege, to be able to have the privilege of owning up 53. Well, that's 53% by themselves, but whenever you count their cucks, you got 27% of them. So that's 80% of the voting block
Yep, exactly.
that they own because of
And-
that
and-
crap.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I don't agree with your at least 20%. I think it should be 0.
Right.
I think
I
women,
get
I
you.
think I think women
I didn't
should
say
have
at
never-
least. I said no more. It should never
Oh,
be
yeah.
more than that. No more.
Yeah. Well, they
Well,
shouldn't have
I
it.
think-
In
I
my
don't know.
opinion, they shouldn't have any at all, because as just using the examples you gave, they don't contribute to society. Let's
Yeah,
be
it's very-
honest. The only thing they do is bear children and refill the people. That is it. That is their job. And not only that, but that is their function.
Right.
It's not just
And-
their
and-
job,
and-
it's their function.
That is
the only-
to me.
The only
To me,
reason
I feel like
would
that is.
give them
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the only reason I would give them a small percentage is just because of the simple fact I have seen a few anomalies that actually do merit some type of, a little bit of voice. And like I said, an anomaly. There's few and far between, but at 99.9998% of them, they don't deserve a voice.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've seen, maybe 5. Okay, you pull your weight. I can't say that I've seen that from any of the rest, but
Mhm.
I've had a conversation with a friend one time about the suppression of female vote, right? Where the fear in the female vote is because there's a lot of men who are going to pander to them. So if you
yes.
equal the female vote, there are more women than there are men. But
Right.
if you somehow equal the vote, you gave the vote like a value that was less than 1, so that when all women voted and all men voted, it would be 50-50. The issue with that is that there would be
You still
men who
gonna have-
pandered to those women.
Yeah,
Right.
So
yeah,
it would
yeah,
be
exactly.
imbalance with voting for, I suppose, in a way,
Yeah.
what somebody actually want to be voted for. But my problem is, like, I'm black. Lawrence, I can see you're black. And
I am too.
I can only see the world through my own eyes. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
right,
I have
right.
an issue with suppressing anyone's vote. So it is an issue how they vote, because there's an issue with, I feel like, dark and light. Like, too many women try to shield the world from the darkness and act like it's not darkness that creates light sometimes, like our soldiers. You know what I'm saying? Like they fight, they kill to protect us and protect our
Yeah,
rights,
they-
or give us a
yeah,
country or whatever else. However you
Yeah.
want to look at it, darkness comes as a requirement to,
Life.
exactly.
It's a requirement to life. What you're saying is they willfully ignore reality.
Mhm.
That's
And-
what you're saying.
And so there is an issue with them being in I suppose, in charge in a way, but there has to be a way to balance it to where
You
they
can't
have
balance
the
it.
right.
but you can't balance it
balance
because
it's got to be imbalanced.
yeah, you can't. It has to be, because if you just go by, whether you go by the rules of the world or the rules of Scripture, at the end of the day, they both show that at the end of the day, the women are out of pocket. There's no denying it. I mean, it doesn't make a difference if you want to go with Scripture or non-Scripture. If we just use
There's
the example
historical
of
proof for that as well.
right, yeah, and that's what I mean about real world. From a historical perspective, as far back as you can go, all the way until now, it's been proven over and over again that it will not work. Now, Oken said there's one or two outliers, but that's the problem with women. Women have a tendency to look at an outlier and think that that's the standard, and it's not.
No.
Well, and they all wake up in the morning, just like we've all talked about many a times on MTR's channel. They all wake up in the morning and just automatically assume they're a 10 and they have a right to everything. That is a willful cognitive dissonance that you're imposing on yourself, and there's no logic to it. So
We
women,
know the logic to it is that we play a big part in that. Men.
Oh yeah.
No. Don't get me wrong, because they couldn't get where they got if it wasn't for us.
Right.
I mean, for all their cucks and Simpson, et cetera, and so on, they're the ones who made the rules and legislations and laws that allowed them to get to where they're at now. So that's on us. That's because in that respect, all we're doing is we're doing a replay of the garden. The same way Eve went and bit that apple, and then she brought it to Adam. Adam had a responsibility to look at her and tell her, no, you were dead wrong. You need to put that back and get that out my face. And I'm telling on you. That's how that should have went.
So you're saying that Adam was the first simp?
Bottom line, yeah. I mean, if you really think about it, this man gave up this man had everything perfectly, and he turned around and for the sake of a piece of pussy gave it up. And then the law, which was the Most High, turned around and punished him for it. You can't tell me that's not a replication of the court system right now. A dude gets with a woman, he falls in love with the pussy, he busts his ass to build everything, and for the sake of pussy, she'll turn around and change her mind or do something contrary to what she's supposed to, and he loses everything. It's an exact replica.
And here's the thing, because of I don't weigh so much on the first simp thing, but so much is the simple fact of the importance of him genetically compared to all other humans at that time. His line is the chosen line, the actual chosen, the ones to go on to actually lead Israel at that time, which was always the youngest, or if they did, or the only child, the only male at that time, which was always the youngest or the only male. That's how they were chosen by God, by the previous leader. That was a polluting of the line. That was a tainting of the line, which is why whenever it comes to Jesus, he had to actually impart his own DNA with Jesus to be able to create a being that would be able to see the grander scheme of things and what they had to do to become more. Because a man is going to become so blinded by that trim that they're going to make those dumb decisions. It's going to happen regardless, at least once. And
when it comes down to voting, I honestly think if you don't pay taxes, you shouldn't vote. Man, woman,
I agree there.
I don't care.
I agree with that.
I agree there.
If the government doesn't receive more than it takes, if it doesn't take more than you get from it, you should not have any input on anything. I don't care. I don't.
So all them single mothers getting welfare, you're saying that wipe them off, and the dudes, and that I got you. Cool.
Yeah. And not to be funny, it's no different than when a felon's in prison. It's the exact same thing.
I agree.
I agree. Kyle, for real, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah,
that's literally like me. That's literally like on this live stream, me seeing what you're making for dinner and telling you I don't like that. You need to make some salmon.
Why? Why I need to make salmon? Because you want to see it.
Oh, yeah. No, because you're eating and I want to eat and I'm hungry and I like salmon. I don't like whatever bullshit you're making, so I want you to go spend more money on the food that I want. And now I'm gonna put my choices, my views are just as important as your views in your house.
Yeah.
And here's
no logical person to say it's okay.
Yeah, and here's another reason. Here's another reason why I don't think women should vote. And this is a mental thing. The difference between them and us. At the end of the day, when women vote, they vote emotionally. And when they vote emotionally, they vote for what's the immediate satisfaction, not thinking about the long-term consequences thereafter.
You know what?
As men, we have a tendency to work a little different than that.
I disagree on that fact right there because of this right here. Everything when they got that vote, there was nothing emotional about that. There was all a plotted out mastermind tactic to get exactly what they were going to do. The men voted emotionally and allowing them to have it.
You know what? That's true.
No,
that's true.
No.
That's true.
Two things.
I mean, because everything they vote for, that is not emotional to sit up there and vote for you to be able to sit at home on your ass and get money, free money without having to do anything. That's logically lazy as fuck.
No. That's an apples to oranges comparison. Okay. So if I want to herd sheep into an area, all right, I have a dog that coasts the sheep in.
Right.
So the dog is directing the sheep, but one of the sheep sees the other sheep and follows those sheep. So the sheep that are seeing the other sheep are following what they think is the other sheep, not realizing it's the dog on the outside of the pack that's pushing those sheep. So by saying that, the people that orchestrated that had the idea to make sure women could vote, they were thinking logically. The women that got the right to vote were given this idea, and they thought that emotionally it benefited them. They weren't logically thinking.
That's what I was trying to say. Yes, that's what I was trying to say.
The people that orchestrated this idea were thinking logical. The people that were involved in it were emotional.
I think it's the same way now where you have agents, the people who push this agenda, those people are definitely thinking meticulously. And then the rest of the women are just voting emotionally, but they're voting with the other sheep.
But you know what's funny? Though, because I'm looking in the chat and I'm looking at Pence, and Pence made a good point, and it's true. He said that it was the top tier men that voted for this shit. And that's true. And what makes it so funny is that the top tier men who had the power and authority to give them the right to vote and everything else that they're doing, if you notice, their women don't act like that.
That's probably why they thought it would be okay. It's because they had control of the women. They probably didn't imagine that it would turn into something like this.
Their women don't act like these casual broads out here. They don't.
Well, here's the thing: the women knew that would happen because that is their whole thing. That's the whole way they operate. They operate on getting you to give them control. Tricking you into it.
Well, this can be said clearly with the black or the black mindset on stuff. So you have a person get killed by a cop that's white, and they show you racist cop. Then you have black people that get emotional and they're like, oh my god, 1965 racism, it's still alive, rah 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 rah. But that they're emotionally making a decision based off a narrative that's being painted without it even being fact checked, or even if there's any relevance of race involved in the situation. Same the people that are orchestrating the narrative, they're logically thinking. The people that are reacting to it, they're not logically thinking. It's all emotion.
I agree. The media, when they present stuff, they target it in that way because they know that 99.9% of American black culture people are emotional. That's the way the culture is set up to respond to things emotionally instead of logically.
Yeah, like it's the same idea. Like the emotional factors of stuff is the ground level people are doing stuff off emotion. The people that are orchestrating the narrative, they're logically thinking. That's just what it is. And
I think it simplistically, like a lot of people don't want to do the groundwork to be able to function logically, because logically requires the information, the facts, and the ability to put them together. So it's easier to go off what makes you feel good or go off what makes you feel bad than it is to do the search, because most people just want to go to work, come home, have fun, relax, and then
Some people don't even want to go to work.
Yeah,
that's
yeah. because we've gotten to the point now, and again, as we've talked about many a times, you've got the vast majority of men. I mean, it's more predominant in the Black community, but it is across all communities. We have an overabundance of men who are being raised to respond like women. Pure emotion, pure reaction from emotion, and et cetera, and so on. And then on top of that, you got to add in the simps, and you got to add in the cucks, and you got to add in the white knights. I mean, let's be real. We're the minority, in that respect. And it's bad. It's bad because I won't lie. Every time I see something about a cop killing a Black guy, I'm not gonna lie. I have to catch myself because the genetic memory of what's happened to us in this country wells up in me automatically. It's just the truth of the matter. It just does.
It's your own personal experiences with it.
Exactly. So I have to catch myself, take a deep breath, and wait a couple of days to see how this plays out before I have any overall response to it. If I'm going to sit here, if I'm going to sit here, and this is a point I make to a lot of Black people, and this is the truth. If we're going to sit here and you're going to make a cry every time a white cop kills a Black person, I'm not mad at you if you're upset. But what I am upset with you about is why are you not making the same level of noise at the amount of Black on Black crime? Because we die more from each other than we do.
I think that's a bad argument, because like you like my uncle can come in, who's my uncle, who's not has his relation to my child is his relation to me, and he could maybe spank my children depending on what type of relationship they've had together, because he's a part of my family. If he's been around the whole time, but no neighbor could. You know what I'm saying? Like it's different from within inside your community or within inside what you consider family to somebody who considers outside. Because
that's a different argument. That's a different argument. I'm not talking in that respect. What I'm saying is that if you're going to get just as angry about somebody from the outside killing one of ours, you should be just as frustrated as us killing our own to each other. Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I get that point. But there is a difference between.
There is not.
There's no difference.
Definitely a difference between. There's definitely a difference between when someone within your community does something than without your community does something. Even if it's not.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to entertain you. I'm going to entertain you on it. You are right on this simple aspect, because of the simple fact your own people are doing you more harm. And more people in the Black community are killing each other. You should actually even be more upset about that.
Exactly.
I feel like
so I'm going to entertain it on that note.
Okay, so I'm going to call bullshit, and I'm going to call bullshit for these reasons. All right. So Black people have this idea in their head that the Black community is a community. Like,
oh yeah, I disagree. Okay, so, I hate using the community word.
So explain to me. Explain. I want to get real close and get this explained to me. If Black people were a community, then why would you go from calling your community a neighborhood to the hood? Why is it the hood? Because there are abandoned houses and there's not that many neighbors. You shorten it to hood because it is not a neighborhood.
Right.
Your own slang, you're already admitting that you're not a community, you're not a neighborhood, you're a hood. So
and if I could
then you can't then claim like, oh, well, black people are solidarity. So an outside, like, no, like,
No.
you
No,
can't both argue.
I've always argued with people when we've had conversations that black people forgot to fight. You know what I'm saying? Like the fight wasn't over when we stopped fighting. I don't believe that we have solidarity, but I do believe that we still should. Like there is definitely racism that still affects us as a people. Like, well, I remember now what we were arguing about last time, Kyle, was the Mayo's Clinic results from their study of implicit bias and how that affects like predominantly black women who have the highest rate of fatality and pregnancy and other things like that. And
I'm sorry, real quick. I'll be right back, guys. Okay. Keep talking. I'm just letting you know I'm stepping out for real quick.
There is racism isn't as blatant as it was before, but it definitely affects people implicitly.
Oh, great.
And which makes it harder to hold on.
Oh yeah, dog whistles. You're right. Like you have to really read into everything to find it, because we are just like, racism is just so smart that like people don't say racist stuff like out loud. They like, you have to take the second letter of the first word and then take the third letter of the second word, and you have to dissect their sentences to find the dog whistle in it, because they've gotten really good of being racist. You have to have a decoder ring of racism. they're just so good at it that these dog whistles, like, you wouldn't know unless you like kept up on your decoder ring.
You know, the one thing I find is that I mean, here's the thing. Most white people are going to be more comfortable around white people. Other cultures are going to be comfortable around their own cultures. And but you know, Black America does not seem to be comfortable around its own self, and for good reason. I mean, we literally bring down and tear down each other more than anybody else does or ever could.
Well, here's the issue. This is the issue that it comes down to when it comes down to the black community and when it comes down to racism. All right, there are racist people,
right?
That's the case. Like, that's not like, no one's going to dispute that people don't not like certain races. But to say that race is the biggest factor in black people's lives is the most degenerate bullshit. I'm going to throw everything. That's like women talking about still being held down by patriarchy. Like, it is such a placate to, oh, I'm a victim bullshit that you can possibly get to. Like, well, you know, women don't make that much money. Men get paid more money. Yeah, lady, because you decided to work at a daycare, and most men are going and doing manual labor where they make more money. It's not that. Yeah, like we decide to take jobs that kill us, and you decided to get air conditioning. I'm sorry, but you can't. Like, it's not poor you. Like, black folks. So black folks don't like the cops. They don't want to teach their kids to be cops. They don't want to do any sort, like, when you go to the hood, there's trash fucking everywhere. Like, no one takes accountability for anything. But then at the same time, they want to placate this idea of, well, the only way we're going to get better is if white people stop holding us down and give us money and more access and show us on TV. Like
no, you got to show some initiative.
Exactly. Like, at some point, you have to do something. Like, even the idea that wealth is passed down for white people, it's not. Like, that is the most false lie I've ever heard in my life. The fact that people want to say, well, America was built off the backs of slaves. No, it wasn't. 5% of the population owned slaves in America. The North didn't own slaves. The North had a bigger economy than the South. because of the revolution, the Industrial Revolution. Like if you look at the time after the Civil War ended and the South was like 20 or 30 years behind the North. Like the fact of the matter is slavery actually held the South back because they did not change their lives, the way they lived their lives, because it was beneficial for them to not, because they had slaves that worked for free. Economically, they did not own a lot of debt because they had free labor. In the North, you had to spend much more money for labor and for things to be produced, but because of that, they had the potential for more growth.
And
the fact of the matter is people want to do these blanket narratives to take any sort of accountability of anybody's actions of themselves. Like we've been giving money to the Black community and welfare since the 60s, and it has not made them any more prosperous. Like giving money and free stuff and special privileges doesn't help anybody. That's literally like the kid. That's literally like the kid that you tell that he's great at everything, and as soon as he goes out into the world and it's not his mommy telling him that he's great at everything he does, and someone tells him like you suck, his life is completely crumbled.
Right.
Like
and you know the point on the whole welfare thing not working. Every other culture uses it right over here except for Black America. They use it if they, because you have other cultures of people that come here, they may not be wealthy where they're from, but they'll use it to propel them to get themselves into better positions, to have better paying jobs, or they'll use it to pool money together to start businesses, to use it to launch themselves, to get better, to put themselves in a better power position. But instead in Black America, it's used so you don't have to get off your ass and do anything just to get free money for nothing. That's the problem.
Hey Dave, talking to your mic. Yeah, we can't hear you.
No, can't hear him at all.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can. Okay. We can hear you.
All right. I'm back.
I'm gonna mute up for a minute. I'll be back.
Okay.
Yeah. So
what did I miss?
So he made a comment about how there was biased racism against Black women because of.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. Well, no. Yeah. See, I got a phone call, and then when I tried to click off and click back in, and you was just going all the way in on me. I couldn't say nothing to defend myself. Well, I'm not trying to defend myself, but
yeah, I'm not defending myself. But this is what I want you to know, Dave.
I don't think that there's racism that's holding Black people back in a way that's Black people's biggest issue. No, Black people's biggest issue is like everyone's biggest issue is poverty. You said that they're putting money into the Black community as if that's supposed to help, and it's not. The Black people need to help themselves in the same way that anybody in poverty needs to help themselves. Like
Correct.
Most people born in poverty live in poverty for the rest of their lives. And
correct.
But the issue, how racism comes in play in that is because that poverty and that situation that Black people find themselves in today was created through racism then. And so to downplay racism as if it doesn't affect Black people today and how it's an excuse Black people use of why they're still being held back, to me, is true in one sense, because the racism that affects Black people today doesn't stop individuals who are extremely persistent or have been given an opportunity to.
Nothing stops anyone persistent. Like
no, nothing stops anyone directly as much as the poverty itself. People.
No.
And that situation was created.
If you are persistent, you will make it in life. If you want to be lackadaisy and give it 50-50, like have you ever heard the saying that what is it? It's an AA saying. Oh yeah. It's like 50% of work doesn't get you 50% results.
I've heard something similar to that, but what I'm saying is something a little more, like, I suppose, nuanced. It's easy to say to somebody if you try. It's easy to say something if you try,
There's nothing
you can
nuanced about
succeed.
it.
No. What I mean is, it's easy to say that if you try, that you can succeed. But we're talking about people who are raised into, and I'm not talking about black people. I'm talking about people in poverty who are raised into mindsets, who are raised into a set of issues that come from, their environment, and the people who were raised in a similar environment before them, who are now raising them. That there's an obstacle that is kind of unseen that
Yeah, it's called
comes
accountability.
together. I suppose in a way, but I mean, you have to be a type of person. There's very much a type of person who makes it out of poverty.
Yeah, people that want more for their life, people that are not willing to settle for bullshit and lies, people that don't want to blame other people, people that take accountability for their own actions. Like
Actually, if I could
me and
add,
you live in Cleveland, Dave. Correct? We both live in Cleveland.
No, I moved. I'm in Akron now.
Okay,
But
so
I'm from Cleveland, yeah.
what part of Cleveland are you from?
Right where you're at now. I went to South High.
Okay, so you probably remember when you walked down Fleet Avenue, how there was like little bops walking around, just looking for cars to get into. You also probably noticed the black males that walk around with Gucci belts on that catch the bus too, right?
But that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the damage that comes from being born in a situation like that.
Listen,
there are people who are more resilient to outside influences and become more of an individual, and they make it out, right?
Okay.
And there are people who are.
Then every person that's born poor, give them $1 million. That's what we'll do. We'll have
Most of them will be poor again.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you do. You need to quit trying to be emotionally empathetic to people that are born in shitty situations, because everyone's born to a shitty situation. Like, I could be 6'3" and have a micro penis. Are you going to feel bad for me and tell me, are we going to make a campaign for women to not find my micro penis unattractive? No, because that's not how life works. Like, you have to overcome what bullshit you're put into. Like, you cannot placate to sad people and poor situations for every single person, because again, that unless you are mentally ill or you're physically disabled, it's a perspective. It's a perspective thing. Just because you're black and born poor doesn't mean that's any worse than a person that's Asian and born poor. Like,
I never said that it was. I said that I can only I can see the world through my eyes, and I think I see in an individual way where you can only really worry about yourself and the people that are surrounding you, like your family, the family that you create, the family that you were born into, and stuff like that. But as a black person, I have history with black people and what should be the black community, and because I know that there is. That predominantly black people live still in kind of a trap that we were put in. And just because there are black people born outside of it now because of individuals who got outside of it or stayed outside of it during a time where there was fluidity in the community, like in the 30s or whatever. It still feels like there's Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Were you done? I'm sorry.
No, I suppose what I'm saying is that it's hard for me to leave a fight when I know the fight wasn't finished for us. And I'm not saying that us is worse than it is for Asians or it is for white people or it is for anybody else. But I'm not Asian or white or anybody else. I'm black. And so when I speak, it comes through that filter.
So I think I think I understand where you're coming from. You're not trying to diminish any other race or culture that's going through what we're going through. You're just saying that for our particular group, our particular culture, we need to find a way to get out of the mire that we're in. Now,
right. And
from my point of view, the way I see it is the only way that's going to be accomplished is as a people to get up off our lazy asses, work for it, be persistent, and make it happen. At the end of the day, that's not a racist thing. That's a cultural thing that we ourselves have developed. You can say all you want to that Lyndon B. Johnson created food stamps and welfare as a racist tactic to bring black people down. But the truth of the matter is black people co-signed it. So yeah,
And it was originally for single white women.
I don't mean that as much as I do the ghetto themselves. And that's what I'm saying is nuance. Like picking ourselves up by our bootstraps, first we have to heal our damage.
No.
And the damage is created at birth by where we're born into. I know people who were born into the hood. I know, Savage, you don't like that, the hood. But I know people who were born into the suburbs, and their outlook on lives are entirely different. And they will always
that may be okay. That may be true, and their outlooks may be different. Like me myself, to use the term, I was born in the hood, Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, New York. Okay, crack epidemic, AIDS, Serpico, the whole 9 yards, man. I mean, I was there in New York's worst moments. Son of Sam, the whole kit and caboodle. All right, and I'm saying, and when I say I was born there, I mean I'm old enough to remember those things vividly in my head. Now, here's the problem. Whether I was born in the hood or I had a friend who was born in the suburbs, which I did have some, because Long Island and Staten Island was kind of considered suburban, kind of like for the city. And I had some. Here's the difference. I've succeeded to the point that I'm pushing, hopefully by next year, to be 7-figure income. That's me from the hood. The suburban kids who were born in the suburbs, just because they had a better quality, so-called quality of life growing up, they haven't even come close to achieving what I have.
Can
I ask you a question?
So yeah, go ahead. What's the question?
So I feel like there is avenues, there's channels, which is why I feel like there's hope. There's avenues and channels, and when we explain to kids that there is a way out that they believe in, like sports and rapping, and then sometimes the military. Like, how did you get out? Didn't you say you were in the military?
But I understand what you're saying. But yes, I was military. But the point I'm trying to make is even before the military, I had scholarships in the whole 9 yards. I chose the military, and here's the thing. This is why I have disagreements when someone like you or RPM last night talk about environment. Environment means nothing. People want to make you believe environment defines you. It doesn't. What defines you is the people you deal with, not your environment. You can be in the hood all you want to. There are hundreds of stories of black, white, Asian, Spanish, people born in poverty, hoods, the whole 9 yards, but their people never let them give up. Their people drove them. Their people pushed them. They become doctors, lawyers, judges, attorneys, you name it. So the environment doesn't matter. It's about the people and what you aspire to be.
It's about
I agree with you.
It's about.
Well, I agree with you. Yeah. Where do you, like, for you, what you just said, Savage, and addressing what you said, Lawrence, like, as a you said it's the people who are surround you. But those people were infected by their environment as well. And Savage, you said morals. But where do you learn your morals from? The same people who were affected by their environment as well.
Listen, I grew up in the hood, bro. I grew up in the hood. Like, I've only been a normal human being for 5 years. And it took a lot of my own mistakes and my pain for me to realize that the pain that I was causing myself was greater than the pain it was to change. And I changed. I changed my life, and it was
right.
No. Because anytime that you try to give some sort of nuanced reason for, like, all you're doing is co-signing someone's bullshit, and you're letting them placate to the same victim mentality that they're in. A hood mind frame is the people's problem. It's that simple.
Right. But if you're using as yourself as an exception, or a group of people that you know as an exception, the majority of the people fall into the trap of their environment. Like, it's not an excuse as much as it is.
Everyone cannot be a CEO. Not everyone can be.
No, I agree. I don't even think everyone should go to college.
Not everyone can make $1 billion a year. Like, the fact of the matter is, there's going to be people that are going to be basic, and those basic people want to be basic. And the fact of the matter is most of the people in the hood, most of the people in the black community are content with their bullshit. And
Mhm.
those
Mhm.
people that are content with their bullshit want you to give them shit for them not doing shit.
Yep. Yep.
That's the fact. So it doesn't matter where you're born or what you do. It depends on the person, and you're never going to legislate or provide opportunities to people that want to be mediocre to not be mediocre. So
Exactly.
it doesn't matter
Yeah.
where you're born. It doesn't matter who your dad was. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter shit. It literally does not matter shit. It depends on what you want to do. It's all about personal accountability. And I can tell you right now, I sold meat door to door. Okay. When I first started catching felonies, I needed to get a job because I was starting to slow down on selling drugs. And the first place they took me to, as I'm sure you know, is the projects that are at Woodland and 38th and Woodland. Those pastel projects off 77. My first day ever selling meat, I had never sold meat. I'd never been to a Cleveland hood at this time. We went to a door and I knocked on a door. There was a 5-year-old boy that answered the door. It was pitch black in this apartment. It was probably 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He told me that he had to go get his mom because his mom wasn't there because I was trying to sell them meat. He walked across the street into another project, and inside this project, there was a folding table, some folding chairs like WWE chairs, and there was a dude that had an all gold grill. He was super dark. The apartment was super dark. The only thing that I could see of this man was the light that shined off his teeth. His mom, the little boy's mom, was sitting there, and she was wearing designer clothes. She had a designer bag on. Her hair was done. Her nails were done. She had gold necklaces. She had gold earrings in. And I was trying to sell her meat, and she literally explained to me the reason that she did not need to buy a whole package of meat. She only wanted the bag of shrimp was because she didn't need to buy enough food to feed her kids because she doesn't cook for her kids. Her kids eat at their friends' houses. And her son was 5 years old, was the one kid in front of me. Like, you cannot tell me that person, no matter what you do, is going to change their mindset. You can't. You're not.
I'm not advocating for people who make excuses. I'm not advocating for that woman. I'm not advocating
Here's
for
the thing.
people who are already grown. I'm advocating for the next generation. I'm advocating for the people who can be affected by that change. You said it yourself that most of the people in that area, what you just said doesn't surprise you. That most of the people within an area have a certain mindset. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but
you can't. Here's the problem. Seriously. Because this, no offense, Dave, but between you and RPM and other people, you're driving me nuts. It is not your job to fix people. It is people's responsibility to fix themselves. That is the malfunction. We can talk about next generation all we want to, but if we're going to talk about next generation, and let's be real, that means the generation who reared them needs to be getting them prepped and ready. That's their job. That's why they're the mother, they're the father. Society cannot fix individual people. Only individual people can fix individual people. And that's the problem. Because as soon as you start going into the fact of trying to get a group or a state or a government trying to fix people, you move immediately into socialism. And we've already established that does not work. I cannot be responsible for someone's environment. I cannot be responsible for whether or not someone gets up to go get motivated. I cannot be responsible for somebody else's children and generation. You cannot do that. And no matter how many ways you tweak the words or try to reestablish the point or the angle, it does not matter. It cannot and it will not work. Even the Most High himself has said we are responsible for our own individual things. It's the same thing when he talks about us with one brother to another. You state your case and then you walk away. Why? Because as he said himself, it is up to that individual to take what you said and do the right thing. This is the nature of the universe.
I'm not talking about socialism as much as I'm talking about if we have an issue with the way the world is, then we have to look outside of ourselves to make change. Obviously, you have to make change within yourselves.
No, we don't.
You cannot change anyone else.
We are the world. We are part of the world. I'm not talking about socialism. I've been in school. I went to South High School, and I also went to Solon High School, and the resources at the two schools were entirely different.
Yeah, because of tax. because of taxes.
Yeah, but
Because the people. No. That's how this works. The people.
no, I
that live-
understand. I understand how the taxes work and everything else like that.
The people that live in South High School, if they want better schools, then they will themselves become more prosperous and be able to give more money to the school in taxes to then make it better. There's no way that you're going to have welfare or mediocre people that are not doing anything to the tax base and then say, well, we need the same opportunity as the people in Solon that pay fucking $50,000 a year in taxes to also be able to. We need that same level of education here when no one wants to do anything. You go in any neighborhood that's low income and you see trash everywhere. You don't even respect the fucking community that you live in. You throw trash everywhere and you expect other people to want to come in and you get money from other people to pay for your shit. Like, it doesn't work.
Exactly.
Well, schools
Exactly.
like that have a better facility, have better learning. They have people in the community that actually put money towards that to benefit it. They have people making donations to that for that cause, putting money into the school to be able to do renovations, be able to get textbooks.
Solon is one of the highest tax areas around here.
What now?
The cost of living in Solon, like, so you guys aren't from around here, so you don't necessarily know, but Solon is a very expensive place to live. Like, the cost of living compared to other places around here is very high.
Yeah, I know. I know. I know. I studied the real estate area there. It's very expensive.
Yeah, 2 or 3 bedroom, like a 2 or 3 bedroom ranch style house is not your average. Like, right now, I can buy a house in Slavic Village probably for like 50, 60 grand. I go to Solon, that same size house is easily $150,000 to $300,000, depending on where it is in the city. Like,
the average.
That's how
the average
much
rate.
difference.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about people's individual taxes. I'm talking about how the government chooses to allocate the taxes. Because even in Slavic Village, if you go right across the highway, because right there, Slavic Village runs 77, right across the highway, there are businesses that pay taxes. Right? None of that tax money goes into the school that's literally 500 yards away, which was South High.
But it's not supposed to. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. When a business is paying taxes, it's not paying taxes for schools. It's paying taxes for other things like your waterworks, your electricity, your infrastructure building. The personal taxes is what goes to schools and social programs and stuff like that. And that's how that works.
I get how that works. What I'm saying is there should be a change. How can you expect people to better themselves without their tools to better themselves?
Here's the thing. I'm telling you, it's not the tax money. When you have people with money, wealthy schools, they have kids. That whenever they have their kids going to a certain school, they fund them schools to have better provisions and things for their kids to go there. That is the difference. Well, what they're trying to tell you, that's not bullshit. They're putting money.
Said boosters.
Huh?
I said boosters.
Yes, that's what it is. They have boosters. So the problem is the simple fact of what Savage was telling you is the simple fact that a bitch up here spending money on clothes for herself that don't even care about getting food for the house and cooking for her own damn child. She's not going to sit up there and put money off in the damn school for her kid to have a better education and better conditions at school.
I agreed with that. I fully believe that she's a lost cause.
You can't change the culture.
Most of people are lost cause.
Tell you.
Yes, but that's
and not only that, but
in these school districts, you have a majority of people that don't care. And you're not going to be able to take money from another place and give it to the school and make the outcome for those kids better because the people don't care.
And I don't want to pinpoint my argument on the fact that the schools are better. That was just one thing that I was bringing up. And I'm not trying to, whatever they call it, avoid.
Well, I'm talking
a bad point. What I'm saying is,
I'm talking in general. Me, myself, personally, I'm talking in general. because this applies not just to schools, but it applies to school, lifestyle, environment, housing,
Exactly.
social programs. It applies to the whole thing, because at the end of the day, it's the same thing over and over and over again. People are disadvantaged, and instead of telling people to get up off their ass, get off welfare, the only answer everybody seems to have is to tax more men to pay for services for people who really don't want to get up and do it themselves, or take from my house to give somebody else. That pisses me off.
I agree with you. I don't think that the taxes should be higher. I think that there's plenty of money there already.
No,
And I'm not talking about making the schools equal. Obviously, a school like Beechwood is going to have more resources than Bedford, even though Bedford is a suburb as well.
Dave, this is what you need to understand, though, Dave. This is what you need to understand. The money that they already take too much money, all right? And you lived in Cleveland, which is a Democrat-ran city, all right?
Mm-hmm.
All these impoverished areas where black people are put into, they voted for those Democrats. They voted for those laws. They voted to be where they're at. And then they turn around and complain about poverty. The fact of the matter is, when you want high taxes and you want the Democrats to tell you what you can and can't do, they decide to tax people more to curb their behavior. So,
well, I'm not talking about hiring taxes, and I'm not talking. You can't also point the finger at uneducated people. I mean, uneducated people with the vote, like we were just talking about earlier. And I don't mean education like college or anything else like that. I'm talking about, we were just talking about earlier how people don't want to do the research to be able to think logically. Those are the same people that you're talking about voting.
You're gonna vote for Trump?
That's their fault.
You're gonna vote for Trump 2020?
I don't know. I haven't done enough yet.
But so Joe Biden's saying that, you ain't black, you don't vote for him. That, like, you don't.
Yeah, that bothers me a lot.
You ain't a real black man. And he got that from a black woman.
Oh, wait,
yes, he did.
Guess what? Know what's even better about that? The crime bill that everyone says is so racist about crack cocaine. Do you know that the crime bill that put millions of black men in prison was written by, Joe Biden? Oh, but Joe
Biden and the Clintons. Yep.
But,
I mean, you is your assumption that I vote Democrat? Because I don't.
No.
This is my assumption. This is my assumption. You said that people don't do the research. We're in 2020. All right. Trump's been president for 3 years. Like, this whole year, they've been talking about the election, and you haven't looked into it. You look like that's the point that I'm trying to make. Most people don't want to do anything. Like, that's it. Like, you're not going to fix that.
Your argument was that the people voted those Democrats in, and they voted, and I can't say that. You said they voted them in, and that's the life that they chose. And my argument was that they didn't know what they were choosing. They were voting off emotions, like we were talking about earlier. You know what I'm saying? I don't.
Bro, any city,
a child. Like, if you like metaphors, a child asks for candy and will eat candy 3 meals a day, but it doesn't mean
a city. All these big cities, my dude, have been voting Democrat for generations.
Yep.
For years.
Yep.
Years. So you can't tell me that they didn't know no better. Like, when you voted for Democrat for 20 years and there's been poverty in the black community for 20 years, you can't tell me that 1 + 1 is not hard to figure out.
Shit, longer than that.
Yeah, it's been longer than that. Yeah, it's been longer.
The poverty that exists in Black American society is Black people's fault. When you prioritize
rims,
style over
bags.
substance, when you prioritize style over substance, that's what the hell you get. The Black community has a female mindset about every damn thing. They want to put time, energy, and money into shit that doesn't amount to anything or worth anything. So that's my whole point on the simple fact of let the shit burn. Whoever's going to save themselves, save them damn selves.
Exactly. That's where I'm at.
Here's a fun fact. If you go and look at the average, like the differences between people that are poor and people that are middle class, there's very clear differences that shows what's going on. So if you look at middle class black, like people that are middle class, people.
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We got you.
if you look at people that are middle class and people that aren't middle class, people that are middle class more than likely have a 401k. People that are middle class are more than likely have at least $500 invested into the stock market. When you look at people that are not middle class, they don't have a 401k. They don't invest money in the market. Like, there are things that people that are poor can do to easily get out of being poor, but they don't do it. If you look at
I know, but
if you look at the average white person vehicle, the average white person vehicle is a Ford F-150. All right. If you look at the average black person's vehicle, it is a Mercedes or a BMW. It is a luxury car.
right.
So-
No, that's. I mean, I'm not trying to be in opposition deliberately, and I understand. I get what you guys are saying. I understand that part of the argument. What I'm saying is that's why I'm saying it's nuanced. You guys are arguing for the absolute logical part of it, and you're right. I'm not disagreeing, I'm not disagreeing with anything that you, Savage, or you, Lawrence, has said. Like what you guys say, from 1 + 1 is 2. Like I get it, but what I'm saying is, I suppose it's empathy.
Yeah,
But
but
that's completely what it is. Empathy.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And
Yeah.
do you know what empathy does? Do you know what empathy does?
It's
You
stagnation.
never had help.
No, this is what empathy is. This is what empathy is. Okay? Empathy is when a mom has a drug addict son and she pays for him to live knowing he's a drug addict because she loves him. And that what she's doing is she's enabling his bad behavior. And she's making it worse because she loves him so much, she's going to kill him with that love.
Yep.
Tough
I
love.
agree that there's toxic. I mean, there's extremes of everything. There's a level at which you should act out on something like anger. Like as a man, we're supposed to get angry at certain things, but there is a level at which we should allow ourselves to get angry. And if you go too far, then you end up killing somebody, or you end up assaulting them and going. But we should get angry. We should act out on our emotions, and one of our emotions is empathy. Stoicism. I don't think stoicism is a lack of emotions. I think it's a correctness with how you act within your emotions.
Empathy.
I would agree. I would agree with that. But just let me say this. I think what you're looking for, which you and like you and RPM and et cetera and so on, I think what you're looking for is a way to find to balance logic and empathy simultaneously. Now I'm not going to sit here and say it's impossible or not possible. That's not what I'm going to say. But what I am going to say is that the closest thing I see that has ever gotten to what you're talking about would be you studying the mitzvah. The mitzvah are the 33 laws that are broken down by the Most High that explains in detail how to run your business, how to do money, how to do your relationships, all the way down to how to treat your slaves.
Can't do it, Brother Lawrence, because of the simple fact what you talking about requires too much damn work. That shit ain't happening.
That's true. That is 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 true.
I also agree with that.
This is what empathy is. You tell me that you feel that something is racist. Empathy is me saying, I can understand your point, but I disagree. That is what empathy is. Empathy is the understanding. What you're talking about, what you're talking about is sympathy. And sympathy is doing something that you should not do because you feel guilty.
No, I'm talking about empathy. What I'm saying is, if you say you can understand what they're talking about, right? And I'm talking about the nuance where it's not, this person makes the decisions based off how they were raised and the environment they were in. 1 + 2, and that woman chose not to feed her family because someone else was going to feed their family for her. You know what I'm saying? So the logic is she's worthless and she's never going to change. That makes sense. The empathy comes in with, I understand why it is that the majority of Black people run that issue. Maybe not to that extreme, but the majority of Black people have issues that run parallel with that. And what that comes from was we never broke free from a trap that we were put in. It's not, I don't have a problem with Black people being poor. I don't have a problem with Black people wanting to be stagnant and bullshit. That's perfectly fine with me. My issue comes from the fact that the majority of Black people are in it deliberately by the past from racism.
Hold
that was created before.
on. I'm going to disagree. The primary reason that Black America is in the situation it's in because we chose to be here. Here is the thing. Before Martin Luther King was pushing for integration, Black people had their own societies, separate from white people. I mean, nothing against white people, but separate. They were building. You had Black people that were construction. They were building houses. Certified electricians that knew how to run wires to build all of this and do all of this stuff. But they integrated. What the problem was now was that the woman wanted to be so much like the white woman that it put a distance between her and a Black man, and what he was doing at this time was not good enough for her. And because she's looking at what the white woman has from an intrinsic standpoint, instead of looking and being able to appreciate what she has already and build up on it and see what can be created from it. So instead, what she wants to do is she wants to promote her own self to get herself in a position to rival the white woman by getting these, trying to get herself near a CEO job and all that bullshit behind the desk and all that, and have all the money. But the problem is women, even though you can give them all the money in the world, they will not save a dime and put it towards anything, towards improving any community. That is the problem. Black people,
I don't disagree with you.
And I'll tell you something else too. Because
hold on a second. I'm gonna make it real simple. This is exactly how you know. This is how I know what you're trying to say is bullshit. And that is, if it was about Black people being put into a racist place, into a fucked up situation because of racism, then why is the weave industry worth billions of dollars a year?
No, see, that's what I'm talking about, it being nuanced. What I'm saying, though, to go with
have the money. That's my point. You
to
have
go with what? No, what I'm saying is to first respond to what he said. Like, Black people were building things, and we were also being forced into an area. We were also not allowed to buy houses in certain areas. There was a point where we had that freedom and that mobility, but then they started doing things like not allowing us to buy houses, not giving us the grants to continue our businesses or the loans to continue our businesses and other stuff like that. I can't contribute everything that we do now is in direct relation to
camera, because I am so sick and tired of hearing about 1936 as 2020. Like, can we live in any time in the last decade? Like the last decade? Can the last decade is all I ask for. We want to talk about before the civil rights movement as a reason of why Black people are fucked up in 2020. Like, at one point, are we going to cross the line where Black people are going to have to look at the mirror and be like, holy fuck, we literally are doing this? Is that going to be in the year 3000? Is the year 3000 far enough away from the civil rights movement and slavery that Black folks are like, holy shit, we still live in shitholes and throw trash on the floor in our own neighborhoods and we shoot the bitch up? It's our fault now. Like, where are you going to stop living in the past? You can never.
I'll move it forward.
You can never stop advocating for it if there hasn't been a break. Like police, I had a conversation with a police officer. I said, "Where did you learn to become a police officer?" He said, "The police academy." I said, "When you became a rookie, did you learn anything from anyone else?" Like, "Yeah, you put you with a veteran." I'm like, "Okay." Well, did he go through the same process? He did. And I'm like, well, did the person who taught him go through the same process? He did. Which is why they say that there can be non-racist police officers in a racist system. Because how you approach a certain person,
the police system is not racist.
It's
No,
just
I'm not
certain
saying the police. I'm
officers.
not saying the law. I'm not saying the laws or how they teach you at the academy might be racist. But
What's
if
race?
you were taught to interact with a certain people a certain way, because maybe that is how is safest for you and gets your job done the easiest or whatever, and then you pass that on. If that connection has never been cut, then that connection is it's the same
Do you want to know?
heritage as.
You want to know how you stop that? You want to know how you stop that? Go to Chicago and tell the gangbangers in the South Side of Chicago to not kill 3,000 people a year to gun violence. Go to New York and tell the black folks in that neighborhood to stop robbing and killing people every fucking year. Tell the FBI statistics, like go and look at the FBI statistics that say 53% of all violent crimes happen by black folks, and tell black folks to quit committing violent fucking crime. Know what you also do? You also go and look at the FBI statistics that say when it comes to interracial crime, where it's a black perpetrator versus a white victim, that it's 90% of all hate crimes. It happens interracially from black to white. Only 10% of white people attack black people. Tell those people that are doing those crimes to quit doing those crimes so that people don't assume that, hey, guess what? I have to be safe in what I'm doing because I could get killed. Or
No, my argument was not that. My argument was not about police violence. My argument was that if the chain hasn't been broken ever, then the original thing that caused the issue is still at play.
it's not.
That's why black people bring back, slavery or Jim Crow or anything else like that. If the chain has never been broken, then the original issues are still in play now.
I'm going to tell you what the issue is. Here's the issue. This is the issue right here. Black people have not learned the ability to accept loss and fucking move on and get better. That's the simple fact of it. We lost when it came to slavery back then. Okay, what the fuck ever. We have an opportunity to make it better now for ourselves. But motherfuckers don't know how to do that shit. Only thing they know how to do is complain about it. But when you look statistically at violence and deaths in America per year, we're nowhere near any of the world average highs. We're nowhere near it. I mean, even for black people, killing black people, it's nowhere near it. Everywhere else is about 2 to 3 times higher per year, at least, than what we have going on here. And we're complaining about that shit instead of worrying about somebody personally worrying about pulling their own self out of the gutter and trying better and trying to learn different things to create a better lifestyle and a better mindset for themselves, because they don't want to fucking change the mindset.
I'm not gonna add nothing new. I want to drop this. I understand that Savage wants to drop this with me in this situation, but what I'm saying is I agree with what you guys are all saying, but we have to understand that people who make change for the better, they can have issues, but the majority of the people who make the change for the better. Go ahead.
Everyone has issues. That's why it's a false argument to talk about the people that are poor, the people that are black. Everyone has.
I don't mean issues. Everyone has issues. I'm talking about specific issues that are attributed to poverty, not black poverty. That's my argument.
This is your argument, but this is your problem with your dichotomy. All right. So every group of people on earth were slaves. Everybody in every culture have been slaves. There's not a culture that wasn't enslaved at some point in time. For one. For two, when the Irish and when the Italians came to America, they were considered to be black because black is a class, it's not a race. Okay. So the same discriminations that the Jews got.
How many generations does a foreigner have to live in America before they're considered American? If you were Irish, right, and you were moved to America, you're a foreigner, you're Irish, your child that was born in America is Irish American. That third one, your grandchild, is American. There's a huge difference between white people of different ethnicities coming to America and black people, because it's evident that there's a difference.
There's not.
There's people who are white who are Russian and have no idea that they're Russian because it doesn't matter because they're American.
Yeah, but guess what? Only the black community is the one that chose to go by the title black community or African American. Those were points that were put on by the blacks. Like if blacks accepted they were American instead of saying black American, like you guys literally live in a world where you choose to identify yourself by that bullshit. Like that's
Because there's a requirement of
It's not a
identity,
requirement.
right? Like just like male, just like people want to be
That's-
non-binary, binary,
No,
It's
no,
not.
no,
It's
no,
not a
no,
requirement.
female.
You
not
have
a
you
requirement.
have
You say
paperwork. You
it's
have
not a
paperwork
requirement.
that
It's not
whenever
a,
you
it's not a requirement. It's
when
not a
you look
requirement.
down-
If you say American, people want to know. The majority of people want to know: are you white or black? If you put it on a piece of paper and you say American, right? They put America. They put white. They put black. They put Pacific, whatever. It was the same thing then.
and they
we
also
couldn't-
have
couldn't
a
say-
box that has the I refuse to disclose. You can answer
No,
that.
but what I'm saying is when we started calling ourselves different things, it's because we didn't have the choice of just saying American, and that has
That's not true. That's not true.
you
That's not
you
true.
make the
That's not-
choice.
No,
You
no,
give-
wait a
you
minute.
give
Wait a
no
minute.
other
Wait a
option.
minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I got to clear this up real quick. That, David, is not true. The term African American was created by a black person in the late 60s, early 70s, because they wanted to have a way to identify us as a people. That was made by us. That wasn't thrown on us. And the only reason it was included on forms was because they pushed for it to be put on forms. When I say they,
Right.
I'm talking about people that look like us. African American and all those other terms was made by us. Up until then, white people only had two terms for us: Negro and nigger.
Yeah, but that's
Straight
what I
up.
mean. Like when we had the opportunity, like when Savage said that we choose to call ourselves Black or African American or
That's true.
whatever, right?
It is.
So when we
Jane,
first got freedom or were voted for, had the right to be free and slavery was abolished and stuff like that, we didn't have the choice to say, hey, we're like you, because that wasn't going to happen then. So we had to choose something separate, and that's never died, is what I'm saying. We couldn't say back then, like, okay,
But you
so you're
don't
American,
live-
I'm American, the same, no difference.
talking 150 years ago. Like again, you have never been born under slavery. Your mom was not born under slavery, but yet those same people persistently talk about I'm Black American, I'm African American. They don't say I'm American. Like Black folks want to
It's
live.
inherited.
It's not.
It's
Your
taught.
mom.
When you ask the question,
It's not.
when you ask the question that we say we choose to use those terms or whatever else like that, you can't cut it from why it was created. Like that's
You
my
can
biggest
cut
argument
it
with people who
because-
say like, how are you going to?
You were
Hey,
not
watch this. Watch this, David. You can cut it. I'll put it to you like this. Look, I probably got the oldest parents on here, except for maybe Lawrence. My dad's dead now. My father was born in 1920. My mother was born in 48. All that shit you talking about, except for the slavery shit, they experienced it. I had no experience of that. Now, because of the simple fact that I am in the South, I am in a small area. Don't get me wrong. I have seen personal flickers from personal people of racism or whatever you want to call it, a personal bias or because of what they see about Black people. Now, I have seen them actually change their opinions too of me after they seen me, what I do in my community, what I do, period, in the moves that I make. So they can't stereotype me to that. But the whole thing about stereotypes is they exist for a freaking reason, because that means that the majority of the shit is true.
Yeah,
For the
it's
most
much
part.
easier
Now,
to
every
identify
stereotype,
somebody
maybe
with a-
not, but
It's much easier to. I think that stereotypes have great benefit. Like if you don't know who a person is, but a group of people act similarly, right? And so before you get the opportunity to get to know them, if a stereotype can sometimes protect you from certain things, like women have stereotypes about men, dark alleys. That's a stereotype that protects women because where they're very unlikely for that to ever happen. The chance that it could terrifies them to death, and so they choose to avoid them.
The fact of the matter is, if you're walking down the street at night and it was dark and two black men walked down the street, you would probably walk to the other side of the street. If a white dude does it, it's racist. Like the fact, like what you need to understand is there are things that are pushed to make people feel a certain type of way when you're being responsible. Like that's what it is. Just like when you're growing up and you're in your school book and you're black and they tell you you're too good, you're uppity, you want to act white, you talk white. Like that is herd mentality from black people pushing it onto other black people. Like
Facts.
it's not white people doing this shit. Like at some point, black people have to accept that they have been the problem and they have to stop doing it. Like,
so how do you make a change? You don't.
Okay, no. Watch this. This is how you make the change. The black people that are not, the black men that are not like that, we can't associate with the ones that are. We have to create our own community, and the only way you get in is by merit only. You have to prove yourself to be worthy to be a part of that community.
Exactly, which goes to what you and Oaken and I have been talking about for a couple of weeks, and I put it in MTR's chat as well. That's why I'm building what I call a quiet council, because that's the only way it's going to work. It has to be to the point where you have to make a group or organization or whatever you want to call it. It has to be merit based. And then, like I said, we'll take on proteges, sure, but you're going to have to go through a serious vetting process to be to be a protege. And then we build from there and we replicate it by expanding out, because outside of that, it's not going to happen. And that's why I call it the Quiet Council, because it will not be on YouTube. It will not be, you will never be able to find it. You can do all the searching you want online, but the way I built this and the way I formatted it, the only people who will ever know are the people who are part of it. The only people who ever know it exists is only by looking at me, because I will be the face of it. That's why I don't have a problem talking about it right now. But you'll never know who the members are, and you'll never know where we're at. You'll never know when we meet, because at the end of the day, when it comes to black people in this country, 9 times out of 10, they will try to destroy it, because misery enjoys company. It's a whole crab in the barrel situation. It is what it is. I'm not mad at it.
At one point in time, does that become inclusive, or does that community just go within itself?
No, it's never going to be inclusive. Like Oaken said, and like I just verified, it's only by merit, and the only way you can get the merit is if you're invited. If you're not invited, you can't. You're not gonna be part of it. Why would I do that?
You can't just let everybody in. Because
that's what I was.
I wouldn't say that you would let everybody in.
He means racial.
Say again.
Yeah, I don't mean you would leave everybody in. I mean, like at some point in time when that community grows larger, would it be like what Savage says? I mean, racial. Would it then become a part
of?
Why
would I make it racial?
He's asking if white people would be involved. It'd be able to be able to join us. What his question is. He's beating around asking that.
No, and that's what I'm saying. That's an illogical
I don't mean white people. I mean all people, and I don't mean people of just.
But that's what I'm trying to explain to you. The question was odd to me because I don't think in that capacity. You're going to be part of it by invite. I don't care what you look like. I just said it's based on your merit. So if you got the skills and the chops to make it happen, I don't care what color you look like. I already established that by just saying it was merit based. That's why the question threw me off.
Well, because the reason why I asked if it was going to be inclusive was because when you said that 9 out of 10 black people will try to destroy it, I figured you were maybe talking about it being a black community. And that's what I was asking.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I see how you got there. No, when I made that comment, I made it in the sense of why it's hidden and you can't see it, not because of who's involved. I do that because when you have an organization and there's a person like myself who's the face of it, okay. Mm-hmm. And you'll start getting questions about, well, are black people in it, or white people in it, or Asian people in it, or Spanish people in it? I don't answer those questions because it's a foolish question. I've already answered it by saying it's merit based. Saying it's merit based means everybody can get in as long as you have the merit. So that's why it's a little like. But I keep it hidden because there are specific people, the specific groups of people, and there are 2 in particular. One is women, the other one are black people. Me being the face of the organization, black people are always going to be trying to get what you got for free. I get that conversation already. Well, you make all that money, you need to bring it back to community and spread it around. Why would I do that? You were the guys who told me I was stupid for studying. You're the ones who called me an Oreo. You're the ones who called me a nerd because I like comic books, anime, and all this other stuff. But now all of a sudden, because I did what I was supposed to do, you want me to just come back and give it to you for free. That goes back to what Kyle said earlier about you just want to sit around and just take shit from people. The second thing is the women, because all they're going to be doing is trying to manipulate their way into either marrying, fucking, or grabbing the bag from whoever's in the group. That's why it will always be secret.
Well, so
that's what I meant by that.
Okay. So yeah. I was just a little confused by the one thing, but no, that makes sense.
So this is the other thing I want to put it out there. So in every culture shames behavior that they don't like.
That's
Very important.
But guess what culture does not?
I already know.
After the 60s, we stopped.
Blacks don't shame any sort of bad part of their culture. They don't.
Nope. And that's male or female.
Oh, you said bad. I got you now. Yeah, black. Yeah, that's the only culture that does. Black America, anyways. Black America, anyways.
Yeah, and that's and to be fair, and to be fair about that, that's both male and female.
Exactly, they're both included in that.
Yeah, they're both included in that. We don't shame them enough. Now, me personally, when I come across somebody individually, I call them out, but I don't do it because of what we look like. I do it because following the tenets of the Most High, if you see unrighteousness, you're supposed to call it out. And like I said, after you tell them what they do with it after that is on them. You step back and knock the dust off your sandals and keep it moving.
But to go back to what I'm saying about it's about the people being the problem. They're the problem, and they just don't see it.
Exactly. Oh no, they see it.
No, but what I'm saying is when it, like with Dave's argument, like there's people born in this, born in that. But again, when you're white and you're upper middle class or middle class, you look down on trailer trash. Like we have a term for what it is.
Yeah.
Like, we accept that those people are shitty white people. When you go to the black community, all the bad things of the community are propped up.
It's uplifted.
That's
exactly.
True.
Exactly.
That's true. That is true.
I feel like a part of that. I'm not arguing for the aid of them. I'm saying I feel like part of what you just said, why we're propped up, is because sometimes that's a way out. You know what I mean? Like all that
negative is the way out.
That gets some people out, and for people who feel like they're lost in the environment that they're around, like some of them they see that people make success out of that ratchet shit, and they want to and they glorify it.
Okay,
yep,
wait, hold on.
Like
you
don't
get out of
and rap
shit.
And all that other stuff that only a very minute few of people can actually succeed trying to do that. But because it seems easier than going to college or starting a business,
it is easier.
It is easier. Do you know what that's bullshit? Because the propping up of bad behavior started in the 70s dope boys of the heroin. Okay,
exactly.
But that's the same argument.
No, it's not. Because name one fucking heroin addict or crack dealer that made it out. Name one.
Exactly.
Yeah, but no one's thinking alongside. They just want that. That's the emotion. That's the exact argument about how it's emotional. You want that here and now. You see the nice cars, you see the women, you see the clothes, and you're like, "That's what I want," and then glorify it.
But they haven't made it out, is what he's saying.
You made a point. They propped it up because some people got to make it out. Name one crack dealer or one big time heroin dealer that made it out. Name one.
What I'm saying is the expanse of that idea is that he's doing better than I am, and it seems as if I can get that easily.
That's not making it out. That's only a come up.
I know if you pigeonhole what I originally said to only include making it out. Well, I know that, but if we talk about one thing and then I give reference to it, and then you bring another thing in, obviously that might change how the conversation is had. I'm saying you can't, if you pigeonhole my original comment, then it would say that those guys ain't making it out. Why are they glorifying that? But if you're dead, dirty, broke, right, and you see a guy in a flashy car with nice clothes and the lifestyle that you want to live in, even if they're not out of the hood, to you, that is out of the lifestyle that you're in.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
But
I
you're
don't.
not.
You know what?
You're not.
I don't
out-
see it.
You're not out of the lifestyle because all those
Yeah.
dope dealers, they lived in the same fucking neighborhoods. Like,
No, that's not what he's saying. That's not what he's saying.
but what I'm under, but this is, but your argument is people can have a better life, so that's why it got propped up. But in the '70s, when that started to get propped up, no one lived out. Like everyone lived in the same bullshit. They had to be in the same area. They didn't make it
Yeah, but
out of nowhere.
It doesn't.
But
For
that's
people
not
who
what.
don't have nothing, you don't have to have
But that's-
everything for them to see you as
But that's not.
elevated.
Yeah.
If you
That's
have,
what-
it's like you said, if you're on a bus and you see somebody with a car, that person's elevated. If you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
torn up clothes or
'Cause-
hand-me-down
'cause-
clothes and this person has brand new clothes, that person's elevated.
Yeah, because here's the problem. Here's the problem. I get what you're saying, Dave. I think you used the wrong words. That's why you're getting the response. If I'm understanding you correctly, you're not trying to say it's them being successful and getting out of the hood. What you're trying to explain is more along the lines of people trying to keep up with the Joneses. As far as the average person in the hood is concerned, if they see a drug dealer with cars and fancy clothes and stuff like that, that's in their head from their mentality. That's getting out of the hood because they got money and they can do this. And as opposed to being
That's
what?
bitch.
Say again?
That's
That's a
bitch.
bit what?
That is. It's bitch think.
Yes, absolutely.
It's stupid.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
stupid thought. Because here's the simple fact: when you
But that's
got
what
the-
happens.
got-
Regardless
you
of
got-
how,
agree.
regardless
That
of how
it's a-
stupid it is, that's what happens.
You got
Yeah.
you got them promoting ratchet culture. Okay, so let's say they make the millions, but hell, they move out and they take the ratchet culture somewhere else. It's still the
Exactly.
same lifestyle.
True.
You just
true.
giving a freaking fool $1 million. There's still
That's
a fool,
true.
just $1 million fool now. That's all.
That's true.
Yeah, that's what
No,
Savage
that's
was bringing up
true.
earlier. You give a
Absolutely
bunch of
true.
people $1 million, you know what I'm saying? What I said to him then was they'll be broke again.
Yeah.
Well, we
but
can
the fact,
look at every black lotto winner that came from the ghetto, broke now.
but look,
Mhm.
but look at the Italians. When the Italians came to America, they lived in the slums in the same hoods that black people lived in. The
Mhm.
mob figures were propped up inside those communities. But guess what? The whole entire community did not become crime infested and still promote. Like, that's the difference. Like, what you have to understand is every culture has had criminals and they've all done the same shit. Only black people have propelled it to the heights of you don't have any black celebrities that don't pretend to be hood.
So, Kyle, do you think that that's a genetic thing?
No, it's a myth.
No.
It's not genetic.
But where
It's
does
a
it come
mental
from then? That was my original point in the first place.
It's an acceptance of bullshit. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's a mental thing. It's a mental thing. It's a mental acceptance.
Yeah, I agree that it's a
of-
mental thing, but that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
So,
that's what.
but-
That's what I was. That's what I was trying to make your point for you. That's where I thought you were going.
Explain to me how exactly. Just explain this to me. How is it that the Irish were under captivity under the English for 1,000 years? 1,000 years. The Irish also have a mob. Explain to me how it is that they were like when you were Irish and you got married in your village, the lord of your village got to consummate your wedding night with your wife.
Yes. Yeah, I remember
Because-
that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
They let it be known that they wanted to breed the Irish out of Ireland, and they like all the fucked up shit that was done to slaves. They did the exact same shit for 1,000 years. 1,000 years, and Irish people still don't have the same mentality, even after they became free. Like the only culture of anybody that has taken the slave mentality and you lived on slavery and lived on this negativity are black folks. The Jews didn't do it. Like no culture has done it. The only black people. And black people are the ones that want to live in the fact that they were slaves. They want to live in that they got discriminated. Like every culture, there's been multiple cultures that have been enslaved and discriminated against for far longer periods that did not have the same mindset that they did when they came out. Black folks still want to talk about fucking 400 years ago.
Okay.
Like they still want to talk about it. So tell me why all these other cultures did the exact same shit. They went through the same things for longer periods of time, and they still don't try to live in 150 years ago or 200 years ago. Tell me.
Right, but you're posing a question to me when I'm no longer championing. I was asking you a question when you made a response. I said, well, "Do you think it's genetic?" I was asking your opinion on it. And if then you said it was a mind state, and I said I agree.
Yeah, I think that's the whole argument that I've been making is the problem is black folks tuck on a victim mentality and they will not shake it. Because
no, that's not the thing, Kyle. What he's trying to say is he agrees with you, but you're still beating the horse. No. That's what he's trying to say.
I'm not beating the horse, but what I'm saying is like the victim mentality is in feminism. It's in this racial bias crap. It's in the black community. Like feminism is creeping into so many aspects of our society that people are inherently victims without even formalizing the fact that they believe in it.
Okay, can I make a point to be clear of what I was saying earlier? What I was saying was not that their excuses are valid, because I could give a fuck about their excuses. I went to South High, but I make around $90,000 a year now. It's just us talking, and there's like one guy in the chat, so it's no big deal. Mm-hmm. But what I'm talking about is not hearing their excuses or even hearing their reasons. It's because I know why I have empathy or sympathy or whatever you would, label it as for that. And maybe it's because maybe I'm a little soft or whatever. I would, if had the opportunity, attempt to make a change was all I was championing for. I'm not excusing bad behavior. I'm not validating their excuses. That was all I was saying.
But you validate someone's excuses when you go and you have sympathy and give them help without making them work for it. The reason that this gets under my skin so much is because I'm white and there's constant narrative of fuck white man because white man's holding you down, even though a vast majority of this argument is clearly it's a straw man. Like,
I don't believe that. I don't believe. Well, I'm not saying that what you said was incorrect. What I'm saying is I don't believe personally that fuck the white man or anything else like that, because it was like what Lawrence was saying earlier. Women got the right to vote because men chose it. Black people were free because white people chose it. I'm not in the idea that white people are evil or that the white man is holding us down or anything like that.
I'm not making that claim that you are. But what I'm saying is there is a narrative in the black community that the white man's holding you down. And
no, I know that for sure.
There is also a narrative. There's also a narrative that the reason that black folks are where they are is because of slavery. And like again, that's the victimhood mentality that's taken away from the black community. It's just like when the Democrats say that you can't have voter IDs because it's not good for minorities because they can't get IDs. It's a racist. It's a lackluster racism. It's saying, well, you're not good enough or smart enough to get an ID, so we're not going to make you get one because you're black, and we can't have high expectations of you. Like,
no, I totally agree. Their excuses. I'm not validating any of their excuses.
I'm not saying that you are.
And but what you said was like giving people help without working for it. I never stated how I would help.
I'm not.
I just said that.
But this is what you don't understand. The reason that I come from this in such a hard place is because I've grown up in the hood. I've also grown up on welfare, and I've also grown up as a drug addict. So throughout this whole process, I have seen my parents save money and do what they had to do and move into a trailer so that we weren't in the projects anymore. I seen my parents do what they had to do to get us off welfare. Because the mentality when my parents had welfare was that you don't want to be on welfare. Like there was a stigma, there was a shaming that was on having to pay with welfare. To this day, as a grown man, even in drug addiction, say I did not have enough dollars to buy cigarettes, I refused to go into a store as a drug addict and take change and pay for stuff in change because I felt shame as a drug addict to buy cigarettes in change. Like there was a shame that was instilled into my being by my family, and that you're not supposed to ask the government for stuff. You're not supposed to get handouts. And then when I got sober, in order for me to get sober, I had to stop thinking I was a victim and realize that my problems were me. It was my fault I did drugs. It was my fault that I was committing crimes. It was my choice to make me do the things that I did. It wasn't the fact that my family sold drugs. It wasn't the fact that my family were criminals. Like, that's what they were, and I thought that was what I was supposed to do, and I chose to partake, and then I got burnt. And it wasn't until I made the realization that it was those decisions that led me to where I was at that I could start to heal and make a better life for myself. The problem with the Black community is they want to live in the I don't want to take accountability for my actions. And like that's the problem. The way that you fix the community, you're not going to do it in this generation. It
would definitely be multi-generational.
It's going to take multiple generations, and it's going to have to be motherfuckers going, you know what? We voted for these dumb policies. We did these dumb things. We need to stop doing this. And it start changing. That's the only way.
I don't even think it might be that. I think it might be Lawrence's idea. I think it might be Lawrence's idea spreading and then leading as an example. I think examples are the best way to create change. Yeah. Because if you tell people something and they're in their mind state, they may or may not listen to you. But if you show them something, then they may or may not see that as an option for themselves. Even if they don't, their children might grow up and see the community that Lawrence wants to create and make
I'm not trying to create a community that's going to better Black people.
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying it might have an effect for people who are.
It's not because what I'm doing is going to create a greater problem, and I'm doing it on purpose. And I've never made that a secret. My ultimate goal at the end of the day are to pull men together and to train men to get their bag and to train them to carry themselves in a historic way, because my game plan is that I no longer want to talk to women about what's right, what's wrong, etc., and so on. I'm simply going to take the men away. But that's what I'm doing. I'm being honest with you. I'm going to take the men away. They're going to see the men that they lost, and then they're not going to have an opportunity. But now there are some benefits. Yeah.
You're not going to change the Black community while you keep subsidizing it and you keep propping it up. Like that's
Agreed.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. I fully agree.
So when you come at a thing where we need to help, no, you did not help. You need to let that bitch burn. That's why
that's why
so fucked up that they decide to change, because as long as you if I was getting high and I would have not had to feel pain, if I would have had a 500, if someone would have given me $500 a day to where I could get high every fucking day and I didn't have to get sober, then I'd still be getting high. But it was the fact of the pressures of crime and drugs and a hit on my head and the price, like me being on the run from the cops and me being cornered into a situation where I had no other options. That's what made me change. Going back and helping the community and doing this, like, it's never going to change, because people, like, only the Black community itself thinks that when you make it out, you're supposed to come back and help them. That's the only community that thinks that. The only one.
That's why I brought up the point about my overall goal with doing what I'm doing, because what Kyle said is exactly the point I was trying to make. The only way you're going to get them to change is you have to take away everything and let them fall. Because we talked about this last night, this morning, Kyle, that there's no greater teacher than pain.
Yeah.
So
no, not a one.
How do you so you said you want to take the men away?
See my goal,
long term. Is this something long term? Like, are you talking about finding
permanent? This is permanent for me. My game plan is to pick the best men, cream of the crop. Helping them build their careers, their purpose, etc., and so on. And at the same time, teaching them and helping them reach their spiritual enlightenment and find their level of stoicism, and teaching them that at the end of the day, that pussy is not a currency in their kingdom, the same way it's not one in mine. And once I do that, That's the game plan, because I'm going to let every single woman know that for every man they ignored, okay, this is your end result. A man who became greater than what you thought he could be. And I'm going to let you sit there and burn in that knowledge. And then I'm going to take that group, and then I'm going to send them out, and I'm going to have them pick another group. And we're going to build, and we're going to build, and we're going to build. I'm going to teach them not just about getting back. I'm going to teach them about how there's no necessity for women now. Period.
Okay, so generationally,
not my
how do
problem.
they breed is what I'm asking.
Not my problem. I'm being straight up honest with you. Savage will tell you, Oaken will tell you, anybody else will tell you. I have no sympathy or mercy in this. I don't care.
No, I'm not talking about women or like including women. I'm talking like the men, like generationally.
We don't need it. We don't need it. We don't need it. That's where I'm at right now. We don't need them. We don't need to breed. We don't need to do any generational thing. And it makes no difference in breeding anyway, because we got two problems. Either they're gonna butt rape us in court because they have our children, or they're gonna kill our children because they get to make the choice and we don't. So why even play the game?
So before
that's me. Why play the game?
So before I end the stream, I wanna go around to everyone, get anyone's last words they want to put in. I'm gonna go do some photography, so I need to get out of here because my dude's ready to go.
Yeah. You want to go first, Dave, or?
No, I had nothing. I guess it's directly to you, Lawrence, because I'm, intrigued by that, and I don't mean in that sly way that the women say.
No. I don't take it.
What they're really trying to do is find out information and then turn it around and bash you with it.
No. I don't take it that way. I don't take it when I'm having spirited debates and discord with men. I don't take it that way. If you don't like it, you don't like it. I'm okay with that. You have questions or whatever. Just I have no. When it comes to men, I don't get emotional like that. Not in that way.
So, like, is it the group that you're talking about? You're talking about like maybe men who choose not to have children throughout their lifetime, and then like also pick another man who'll do the same, and then just allowing a community for the men of merit to have a community within themselves. And or like I'm still kind of lost, but it does intrigue me what you were talking about.
Yeah. It's something along those lines, because from what I've learned through our history, the greatest men who have accomplished the greatest things, the vast majority of them haven't had a winch in their background annoying them. They're on their focus. They're on their purpose. They achieve greater things. If they did have women, believe me when I tell you, they didn't marry them. They were just pieces of ass at any given moment. That's it. And that's what I want, because at the end of the day, if I go through the process of training men and helping them achieve their goals and their purpose, it would behoove me to make sure that there are men who are not interested in going after ass all the time. Because at the end of the day, that's only going to create problems. I don't mean
ass as much as I mean as strictly like having children. Because like I think that
as well. That as well. Okay. I mean that when I say I mean that as well. I mean whether it's a relationship or whether it's having kids. If you already have kids, I have no issue with that. But at the end of the day, if you're coming in straight hot without anything, I expect it to stay that way, because I'm not trying to help you build your bag only for you to turn around and get caught up in a piece of ass that's going to take all of it. That's a waste of my time.
Right.
That's why you pay Ling Ling.
Exactly.
I couldn't hear you. What did you say?
It's why you pay Ling Ling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, I'm not trying to be mean about it. It's just I'm being realistic. If every dude who wanted to make the bag came in wanted to protege with me or whatever you want to call it, I have to take in consideration, is this guy worth it? Because at the end of the day, I'm not here to help this guy get a bag so he can go out and floss with a whole bunch of women. That's not the purpose of this. And on top of that, like I said, what do I look like helping you reach that level of 6 figures? And you out there playing the ass with a whole bunch of women, and you get this pregnant, that pregnant, that pregnant. 6 figures, you just lost all that because it's going to them kids. Or she's playing you for the money, or you marry her and she take you all of it. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, how do I look with her marrying you, divorcing you, and then she gets to take a portion of your shit? If your shit's attached to mine, she gets a piece of, no, sir. No. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. I'm being very strict and very specific on who I choose. Very much. And Oaken will tell you that because we've talked about that many a weekends.
Yes.
Is that how you say it, Oaken?
Yes. That is
Okay.
pronounced. It is how it's pronounced. I am an anime fan, and Bleach is my favorite anime. And the Oaken translates to the King's Key, but it is pronounced the Oaken.
Yeah, if you didn't know, Oaken is white facing right now.
Hey, he is. Hey, this is my favorite villain for anything ever created. He
Of course, he's white, right?
Yeah, hey, I don't care. You know, I don't care. hey, look, white guys make some amazing villains, and I'd be a good villain too, even though I don't have a white face. But he had to me one of his best quotes ever in the anime was that admiration is the state furthest from understanding.
Ooh, I like that.
Meaning that because you admire someone or someone admires you, they can't understand you because they have those cloudy goggles on. They can't, because they admire you so much, they can't see an individual for all their flaws and foibles. They can't see them for what they really are because they're seeing them from their own perspective and instead of the true view of who they are.
You see, it's funny.
I agree with that.
It's funny. It's funny you did that because when you said that quote, it reminded me of a quote I read when I was a little boy. Whenever I think about it, I always think about feminism. And it was how did it go? To destroy something in order to understand it is but the first step off the path of wisdom. And that was written by J.R.R. Tolkien, the guy who made Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right,
all right, man.
All right.
Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
As always.
Later,
It was
guys.
good chat with you guys.
Yes.
I love how we always have a good live stream, even though like the topic is complete. Like there's really no topic.
Random.
It's
random.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotta let it flow naturally. Naturally. But it's always fun. I can't deny that.
I'll
Later.
see you
Y'all
guys
brothers
later.
have a good one.
All right,
too.
man. Be good.